Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Tuesday, everybody, and we welcome you into the year of 2023 for Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks.
I'm right.
Ellis. Yeah, we are in 2023, and as always, we do appreciate you hanging out with us.
Haven't seen you guys since last year.
That's right. It's been so long. But we're happy to be back with you, and obviously today takes a bit of a different tone here. On the show, on the channel, if you are a fan of sports, if you are a fan of, if you're just a human being, because what took place last night in Cincinnati was a very, very scary moment. And Damir Hamlin is a player for the Buffalo Bills. He was involved in a collision. He attempted to get up. He went back down. It was apparent right away that it was very serious, to the point where medical professionals took the field, administered CPR, received oxygen. They transported him out of the stadium quickly. Fortunately, that hospital was very close, guys. He got to the hospital, and we don't have any kind of update as to where things are right now. His family put out a statement moments ago saying, quote, "On behalf of our family, we want to express our sincere gratitude for the love and support shown to Damar during this challenging time. We're deeply moved by prayers, kind words, and donations from fans around the country. We also want to acknowledge the dedicated first responders and healthcare professionals at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center who have provided exceptional care to Damar. We feel so blessed to be part of the Buffalo Bills organization and their support. We also want to thank Coach Taylor and the Bengals for everything they've done. Your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. Please keep Damar in your prayers. We will release updates as soon as we have them. Thank you, Hamlin family." All right, guys. So, there's no medical update there. However, that is a statement from the family right there. I think the first word that comes to mind for me is perspective. When it comes to everything that we're talking about here, like we make our living talking about sports, right? Barrett, you made a living playing sports for a long time, but and we take it very seriously, and we like to have fun, and we like to joke at times with it. But we get worked up when our teams lose and win, and when players don't play well, we get all over them and those kind of things. And we're always talking about warriors and toughness, and these guys are soldiers and all this other stuff. But, when you see something like this, I don't know, humbling, it just really, it took your breath away. I had a hard time sleeping last night. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to take up all the air here. I'll start with you guys. Derek, get your initial impressions on what you saw last night.
Initially, when it happened, I'm thinking, okay, when he fell, I'm thinking he got the wind knocked out of him, because when you look at the replay, T. Higgins put his shoulder pads in his chest. I'm thinking maybe the wind knocked out of him, maybe a concussion. How many times have we seen concussed players get up and all of a sudden start wobbling and fall back?
Yep.
But it wasn't too long after that you could tell when they showed shots of players crying, heads buried into teammates' shoulders, hands over faces, that it was something more serious than that. And the fact that he laid there that long, and then when you heard that initially they put him on the stretcher, they lifted him up and had to immediately put it back down again, and then that's when you knew it was a lot more serious than just your normal injury. I'm sitting here today and I'm still thinking, how do the players ever erase that from their mind? They saw a teammate, a brother, a friend lay there, and at one point was basically dead or dying. You're used to seeing players, Barry can attest to this, as players, you're used to seeing broken bones. You're used to seeing players concussed, bleeding. But this is a whole nother level that I don't know if players will ever be able to erase this from their minds. And the other thing that really jumped out and touched me was the fact that you guys know how I feel about social media and stuff like that, but I was so impressed, and it just did my heart glad to see so many people blow up social media, offering prayers and well wishes and sentiments. And then they talked about his foundation, which was trying to raise toys for the Buffalo and his hometown Pittsburgh areas. That was around $2,000. As we sit here now, it's approaching $4 million. There's a lot of good people in the world out there, and that really showed its true face last night and throughout the course of today.
Yeah, Barrett, your thoughts? I mean, obviously, you played the game. You've seen guys go down in scary situations. I've never quite seen this kind of thing, but as someone who frankly laid their life on the line to do this, you see something like that from a fellow player. Had to be a tough moment.
It was definitely tough, for me, because I played 12 years, even so far as, playing high school football to college football to playing in the NFL. Man, that's a lot of years in which I took the bumps and bruises and everything that comes with playing sports, that comes with playing football. It's a gladiator sport, yes, and we signed up for this. We understand the consequences and repercussions that come with this. I've seen, guys hit the ground awkward or, and stay sit motionless on the field, but it was never a sense that, while I was playing that, all right, they weren't, they're not going to get up or there was never a sense that, oh man, he might be paralyzed, so, that sometimes crossed our mind, but this is the first real time that I've seen a guy go down and I didn't know if he was going to live. Was he on the field? I didn't know if he was alive. I didn't know what was going on, and I've never had that sense of, there's somebody on the field that might not be living. And that's what really took me to another place. We play a game, we play a sport. And we always say stuff like, this is life or death out here and all those type of things. But to really have a sense that, this guy's life was on the line like that, it was really, really hard on me, knowing, because I have a 25-year-old son. This kid is 24 years old. Mm-hmm. So it really put things in perspective for me, because it never has really been life or death while playing this game. Yes, we talked about, being paralyzed, but never life and death. Mm-hmm. Never a sense that, somebody could lose their life. I was around the same – I played around the same time Corey Stringer. Me and him got drafted around the same time. Corey Stringer passed away in practice, but he passed away from heat exhaustion and the stuff that, just being a big guy and, trying to lose weight. There was a lot of factors involved with it. But this was out there on a routine play. It was routine. It was nothing violent. Really, to me, it wasn't anything really violent that would dictate that this kid's life would be on the line like that. And it put me in a place, man, that, I was like, man, what the hell was I thinking playing this sport? Yeah. I actually went to that level of concern for this kid. I played with Ryan Clark in two places. I played with him with the Giants when he was a rookie, and then I played with him with the Steelers my last year in the organization. And, he talked about how, I had retired, but he talked about the next year, how he went up and played in with the Broncos. He had sickle cell. He went to play the Broncos up in Mile High and had a sickle cell reaction, and how, his organs had shut down and, he almost died, and how players came in praying for him and crying for him. Those are the senses that, you in events that you tend not to think about, you don't want to think about, because you want to still play this game at a high level, man. But it's still a game, and to think that this kid's life was on the line, it's still on the line right now. He's still in critical condition. This is tough for me, man. It's really tough for me.
I think you question everything, especially when it comes to football. There's this play, and granted, this is, thank God, somewhat of an isolated incident, but there's so many issues with head injuries that it really makes you, like, I sat there last night thinking about everything. Like, should I really keep following this sport? You start to, there's so many things that are running through your head. Is it worth it, in the long run? And we love the sport. We love it. So many things about it, but there's the injury factor is so scary. And I know this was different. It wasn't exactly what we're talking about with some of the stuff that we see with Tua this year and how players are so affected later in life. But you just wonder, is it all worth it, man, for our entertainment? And I know, like I said, we all, to an extent, make a living off of it, but it really makes you question everything about it.
Think about how many times we've seen a ball carrier lower his pads or helmet and plant it in an opposing player's chest. And the first thing you're thinking is, okay, he just freight trained that individual, because the individual gets up and continues to play. One of the most famous and iconic plays to relate to that, go back to 1978. You see it all the time. The Earl Campbell play where he puts his head right into the chest of Isaiah Robertson and just kept going, but Robertson got up, and we see that time and time again. Think about the Joe Theismann injury we saw where he broke his leg, and he replayed it over and over again. Think about some of the plays we've seen where a player's foot is turned the other way. Dak Prescott, when he dislocated his foot was turned the other way. We've seen all those type of injuries, and we talk about it, but as a wow factor, but we keep going on because there was never the possibility of death associated with it. But this takes your perspective to a whole nother stratosphere. And like I said initially, how does his teammates get this out of their mind? Because they still have to consider, what do you do about the game? The game is secondary. The game means nothing, but eventually they're going to go on and play the game, continue the game, or maybe just wipe the slate clean and move on, which also affects both teams in seeding. Yeah. I mean, that's the last thing you think about, but that's going to happen at some point. And how will these players retake the field? What are the mindsets going to be? Even if this kid a week from now, he's still in critical condition, right, and his teammates find this out, they've got to go out there at some point and do their jobs again. And you wonder, can they do their jobs wholeheartedly, knowing that one of their brothers, a teammate, is still in critical condition?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
You're right, Derek. They were traumatized. You saw the reaction. You saw Stephon Diggs. You saw Josh Allen. You saw the Bengals players. It wasn't just Bills players. You saw Sean McDermott, who I know, Derek, extremely well. It was, you just felt awful for these guys. And you say to yourself, first of all, how the heck are they going to play a game that night? I mean, this was before the game was canceled. They canceled about an hour and 15 minutes or hour and 5 minutes later. But then you start thinking, I think we're going to play next week. Are they going to be able to go out there and put their bodies on the line, going forward here? And how does this impact them big picture here in the playoffs? And can these guys continue to play football? And how could you fault a guy who said, I'm sorry, my heart's not in it, man. Yeah, I can't go the rest of this year.
Exactly.
Would that surprise me? It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And I wouldn't blame any one of them if they just said, I'm out. I just can't do this right now. How could you fault them?
Bro, it's I've been on the field. The injury that caused me to retire was I was actually, the game before the season started, preseason game, and we ran, it was nothing but a 15 lead. And I just went up, I double teamed with my center, went up to the backer, hit the backer. And as I was bending him down like this, about to flat back him, Deucey comes and hits me from the back, and my knee hit the ground. And when my knee hit the ground, I ripped my quad muscle all the way off of my patella tendon. And, I don't know if you guys seen somebody's bicep roll up. Well, my knee rolled up, my tricep muscle rolled up on, my quad muscle rather. My quad muscle rolled up in my leg. So when the doc came out on the field, when I tried to get up, I felt it tighten up, but I feel it tighten up next to, where my waist was. I'm like, oh, what is that? Because it didn't hurt at first when it hit. It felt like a pow. Initially, it hurt for 1 second. Then after that, it didn't hurt. And my whole muscle rolled up, my quad muscle rolled up. And you could, it wasn't there was no muscle there. So when you pulled my pants leg up, you could see where my skin had folded over, where my bone was, where the quad was supposed to be at.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't you couldn't see any blood or anything. It was nothing like that. But you could just see where I didn't have bone and the skin was just over my muscle. Over my bone right there. And he looked at me and said, man, it's you, poor child. I said, what do you mean it's you, poor child? He said, well, somebody half your size and half your age couldn't come back from this. You'll be fine because you got that medical thing, that nursing thing, don't you? I'm like, yes. He said, you can't play. You can't come back from this, man. I understand you want to, but this is something that this is it's tough on a player. So I mean, it made a lot of players retire. It made Greg Lloyd, former linebacker for the Steelers, made him retire from the same thing. So I know what it is to sit on that field and understand that your season is over with. But this kid didn't even get a chance to do that. He didn't even get to say his goodbyes on the football field. Yeah. He had a heart attack. He was instantly out and has not been up since. Has not came to consciousness yet. Yeah. He's in a coma right now. This is scary, man. I mean, football is football. We love the sport. We love being in the sport. I mean, I love playing the sport. But these are also the consequences of playing the sport that we love.
Yeah, violent sport. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, when tragedy hits and moments like this, there are, you look to the positives and what you can glean out of this. I give the first responders a lot of credit. They were out there ASAP. They knew what they had to do. They got the young man out of there. Now, we have no idea how this is going to turn out, but they did everything they could to do the best they could in a situation that was the worst kind of situation. Apparently the people at the hospital are doing an amazing job. I think the teams themselves, I really believe the teams and the coaches decided no matter what's coming down from upstairs, we're not playing this game. That was in the best interest of everybody. Like they did the right thing. I will say this too. I thought the broadcast, the ESPN broadcast with Joe Buck and Aikman and Lisa Salters also, who was so eloquent. I thought when they tossed it back to the studio with Susie Colbert and Schefter and Booger McFarland, they were phenomenal.
I agree.
I must have watched 2 hours of Scott Van Pelt and a lot of it with Ryan Clark. When there's no script, man, and you're just sitting there, and this has never happened before. It's not like you had anything to lean back on. Like, oh, you remember time when this happened? No. Yeah. And to do what they did was nothing short of unbelievable. And it was amazing. And I'm in awe of what a great job they did. So I'm just trying to glean any kind of positives out of this. It's not easy. It's hard, but they did an incredible job.
A lot of times people think what we do in this industry is so easy because we just sit here and talk about sports. But every now and then we're thrown these curveballs on topics that we don't have research for. We don't have prepared scripts for. And you just have to wing it from experience and just personal reference. And you're right, Rob. I thought the ESPN crew, from start to finish, everybody involved did an incredible job of heartfelt feelings and relating it to personal. Ryan Clark's story, I didn't even know his story about how close he came to death because he had sickle cell anemia. And Mike Tomlin told him, you're not playing. What did he assemble a team of medical experts and his wife and beg Mike Tomlin to let him play a game in Denver. And Mike Tomlin told everybody, get out of my office. Mm-hmm. If you were my son, you would not be playing that game. You're not playing, and when you listen to the Booger McFarlands and the stuff that they've gone through and they've seen, and the Barrett Brooks, the stuff they've gone through and they've seen, it just puts a whole new light on what we consider these warriors, these gladiators that we adore, week in and week out. We live vicariously through our individual heroes on the football field and our teams. And even when players are hurt, it's the next man up mentality. Well, this is not about the next man up mentality. This is about an individual who is now being prayed for by millions of people, not just across this country, but across the globe that watched this game last night. And it just impresses me how people come together in a situation like this. You don't have to be a fan of the Buffalo Bills or this young man. You're a fan of human life, more so than anything else.
Yeah, and I will say, you do find the good in people here in a lot of ways. Yes. So he had a foundation called Chasing M's, the Chasing M's Foundation, which raises money for toy drives for underserved kids. It's raised over $3 million, and a lot of that has continued to grow.
Yeah, it's close to $4 million now.
It's now close to $4 since however many hours that was last night when he got hurt. So it's people trying to do for them. Yes, you have rogue knuckleheads. That's just life. But for the most part, people are trying to do right by this, young man and his family. And so there's a lot of Hopefully there's some good that'll come out of this. We don't know anything in terms of an update. The family hasn't put out a statement regarding the update, just basically thanking everybody for where things are. I don't know where the league goes from here. I don't know where these teams go from here. I don't know what you do with this game. Frankly, I don't know how you put these two teams back on that same field where this went down. I don't know, and this is where Roger Goodell's got some really, and Troy Vincent and everybody else involved in these kind of decisions, the NFLPA, have some really hard and long hours ahead of them. Because here's the problem, Derek, and you pointed this out.
Yeah.
We don't know what the status is of Demir right now. We don't know where things are with him. DeMar, excuse me, where he is right now. And, until he's stable, you're taking any kind of risk, just sort of moving forward. But I don't know what else you do here. Like I don't envy anybody involved here, and I'm not trying to be cold pointing out the game part of it. I'm just saying that that's a piece of this thing. Obviously his health is first, but I don't know where you go from here if you're the league.
Eventually the league will resume. It's going to resume. But what if this young man is still considered critical condition a week from today? Okay.
Yeah.
It's still etched in the minds of all those players who stood there and saw their brother, their fallen teammate, administered, CPR on the field. And you have to put your focus back on your job at hand.
Yep.
I don't know how you're going to do. I don't know how you do it. And no matter what the league decides, and you're right, Rob, it's Roger Goodell, it's Troy Vincent, it's the NFLPA. Whatever they decide, eventually they're going to decide to resume play. I mean, and that's not a fault. I mean, that's the nature of any business you do. You shut it down for a while, but you're going to resume business eventually.
Yep.
So they're going to take heat for this no matter what. But are you going to push the playoffs back now? I mean, because do they have to play this game? Do they have to continue this game? Do you pick it up like a baseball game? Do you continue this game from where it was?
I think everything's on the table, Derek. The only really wiggle room you have to play with is that bye week between the championship games and the Super Bowl, which you could push everything back to if you had to do this. But I don't know. I mean, this is all again secondary, but there were a lot of like standings kind of things on the line. The 1 seed was on the line, seedings and all that.
Yep.
That's all very real.
Yeah.
From a practical standpoint for the league, but you're just in such a holding pattern right now that you just don't know. You don't know what.
Well, the league must go on. The league will go on. You can believe that. It's a $1 billion corporation, so they're going to make it happen. But I love the fact that all these caring people in this world, it wasn't just football fans, it's fans of just humanity in general that are taking notice to this and asking, sending prayers up and everything else. Them prayers work, man. And I love the fact that it's bringing communities together, people that wouldn't necessarily agree upon anything or be focused on common goals or have a common goal right now that they're trying to strive towards. I love the fact that people are doing that. This is a violent game, and this kid, his entire life worked towards getting to this point in his life. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. It's not like we don't understand these consequences. We understand that, every time every play, they said every play that an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and linebackers and running backs are in is equivalent to a 20-mile-an-hour car wreck. So you're basically putting your body through something the human body is not meant to do. The human body is barely meant to walk upright, let alone run at up to 20 miles an hour and being hit by people coming at you probably the same speed guys that are 300 pounds hitting each other with the force of a car wreck. That means your body's going to take a toll. I am in the process right now going through the same thing, and it's almost like, I can't complain on it because I voted on these same the same things that these NFL players are playing on now, but there's no lifetime health care for NFL football players.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Contracts aren't guaranteed. There's no life. Right now, me and Big Seals have to pay our own insurance. And I know everybody pays insurance. That's what everybody does. But, they're not playing football either. You know what I'm saying? But there are worse jobs than even football, that people do that, don't have the same thing. So,
yeah,
I'm crying about it right now. But, this is life. This is life.
And look, go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry.
I equate this to a similar incident. This was before the advent of social media. Go back to the 1998 hockey playoffs. Chris Pronger, St. Louis Blues, takes a puck to the chest, just to the left of his heart, in a game in Detroit. He gets up, skates for a few seconds, boom, face down on the ice. And they said he lost consciousness for about 30 seconds. Now, from what we know, his heart never stopped, but he had cardiac arrhythmia. He was on the ice for 10 minutes, and he got through that. You think about the Hank Gathers, situation,
Awful.
We saw that. That was live on TV. We saw that, and that was, again, before the advent of social media. It's one of these fluke things that you can't prepare for until they actually happen.
Yeah.
And then, you start reflecting on scenarios you've seen either from afar or firsthand. And it directly affected two teams last night who were there to witnesses. Think about the hundreds and thousands of players sitting at home watching this. Some of them went to school with him at Pitt. Some of them played against him. Some of them might have went to combine with him, got to know him, so on and so forth, things like that. So this is going to be etched in the minds of a lot of Warriors that will have to step on that football field this weekend and play their jobs to the fullest. And I can't emphasize enough. We've seen so many instances where players have taken direct shots to the chest and it was nothing. They got up and they kept playing. But yet there's one time, it stopped the world because of the prolonged nature of it. And then we're waiting and wondering, is it concussion? Is it spinal damage? And then all of a sudden it comes out. He's administered CPR and you're thinking, oh, my goodness. Now you see why these guys are crying on the field. They're looking at a teammate who could have possibly died on the field, you don't forget that stuff, man. And it's going to affect how you play the game moving forward. And you're always taught as a player from Pop Warner League and in high school and college, hey, don't play haphazard because that's how you get hurt. Don't just go through the motions because that's how you get hurt. Yeah. But some of these players, man, can they give full effort based on what they've watched firsthand or from afar moving forward? That's tough.
It is tough. Tough.
It's tough, but you're forced with the realization of what this sport is and what this sport really is. This is a billion-dollar corporation. It's a non-for-profit, but very profitable. It's one of the highest grossing. This Monday night game would have probably been the highest grossing Monday night game in the past 10 years.
Yeah,
that's how big of an effect this game was to the NFL, and it meant nothing to anybody at that point. That especially for those 10 minutes on the field, that when it happened, those 10 minutes afterward, that whole situation meant nothing. The whole monetary thing, it meant nothing to not one soul on that football field or the viewers looking at the game, the announcers and everybody else. Everybody was focused on those first responders doing their job. And I mean, I got to take my hat off to them, the coaching staff getting their medical team out there and saved that young man's life. And, he's still fighting for his life, but they gave him a chance. They gave him a shot, and I tip my hat to them, man. They did a hell of a job, at least getting this young man in position to keep living.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And thank goodness the hospital was only 2 miles away from the stadium.
Right.
And thank goodness, people kept saying, why are they taking so long? As one of you guys mentioned off the top of the show, what if they had announced immediately that the game was canceled and their first responders and the EMTs are trying to get him out of there? Can you imagine the log jam of trying to get him out of there?
Yeah.
With every exit blocked, so kudos. I mean, people want to chastise decision makers for waiting as long as they did, but that ambulance needed a clear path to get out of there as quick as possible. We've all been in stadiums. We know what it's like to be caught in a log jam trying to get out of a stadium after a game. I mean, sometimes it's taking me over an hour just to get 50 feet,
Yeah.
Right.
Trying to get out of a place. Imagine them trying to get this young man who's on the brink of death out of there in a short amount of time just to get to a hospital 2 miles down the road.
There's a lot to consider here with these decisions that are being made, and they're trying not to be haphazard about it. And I think
Mr. Pacanelli, hold on, Mr. Pacanelli, Sean Bailey, I don't give a damn if you think this is boring or not, but one of my brothers on the football field almost passed away. So you can go to some other station or whatever you want to call it and go listen to somebody else. I could give a damn about what you're talking about right now.
I agree. You don't have to be here.
No,
if you're that insensitive to what is going on with this situation across the country, then you need to find something else to do at this point, because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
No question. It's one of my brothers, man. He played on the football field. I mean, this could have happened to me. This could have happened to my son playing football. This is something that's very serious to me, man. This is, in my entire life, I wanted to play football. This young man spent his entire life from the first time he got picked up a football to now is all being, taken away from him. So, man, this is serious, man. This is a very serious topic.
Yeah, it's about somebody's life, man. It's not about X's and O's. And throughout the course of the show today, are we going to talk about X's and O's and the Eagles? Yes, we are going to.
We'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that. But right now, this is more important than talking about.
This is bigger than anything else.
Damn football being thrown around.
Yeah, my son suffered a concussion playing high school football, and it affected him emotionally for a couple of years after the fact. Not days, not weeks, not months. A couple of years, he rode that proverbial emotional roller coaster, man, highs and lows, and had to go through a lot of stuff. We went through a lot of stuff with him, before that, man. So, you know what? This hits home in a lot of ways, man. And you're thinking, man, what if that was your son out there, your brother out there, he
had a heart attack, man.
Yeah, man.
They showed video of him going over to his mother. Thank God, his mom. Well, I know it had to be traumatic for her to see it, but at least she was there to, not watching all this on TV. But my point is he went over to his mother and his family before the game, gave them a big hug on the sideline, and you just thinking to yourself, man, like, just think about an hour later what happened to this person, right? And the trauma that not only and pray to God that he comes through this thing, but what that his poor mother had to watch this unfold, and his other family members, and what that feels like. It goes beyond sports and whoever won or lost the game. This is about somebody's life and the impact that it had not only will have on him and his family, but every one of those guys who was out there. I mean, think about T. Higgins, who's the guy who was in the collision with him.
Right. Exactly.
How must he be feeling today? And how is he, next time he goes over the middle to run a pattern, like, is your heart really going to be in catching the football? Like, these are all there's just a stream of conscious that goes through your head when you see something like that. It was just really sad, man. Really sad, really tough. Really tough.
I'm going through stuff right now, with the NFL and, just about, with the CTE situation, where I make sure that I get checked every single year to have a baseline on where I am and, how my brain is functioning, even my body. I mean, I could actually draw, what do you call it? When your body is in such a bad shape. I'm my disability rating right now. It was 87 10 years ago. It's right now 100%, man. They saying I'm 100% disabled. I may not feel like it or look like it, but when they take pictures, when they go on ultrasounds, when they take, all these, these scans of my body, man, they like, man, I don't see how you're not hurting worse than what you are. And I think it's more so the tolerance that my body have, that has at this point is why I keep going. You know what I'm saying? We did a lot, man, but would I do it again? I absolutely will. That's why you don't hear me bitching and complaining about it.
Yeah.
Would I do it again? Yes, I will. The love of the game is there. The love of the game for the sport that me and this young man chose to do, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. All right. So, let me
What's
just
wrong with JB, man? He said you're gonna say White Castles. That's probably why it feels this way.
Now, and look, here's what we like we always do every day, right? We know people are dealing with a lot of stuff in their life all the time. It could be through work, it could be through family, it could be through health, whatever. We do try to provide a distraction for you. We try to give you 3 hours where you're not thinking about it all the time, right? So one of the things hopefully we're going to laugh today. Hopefully we're going to get worked up about football, get worked
Yeah,
up.
we got
about
great guys. JB's a great guy, man.
Yeah. And there's tons of good people, in general. So like I said, if we get any kind of updates about DeMar Hamlin, we will pass that along ASAP. And that will take priority over everything else. But, we will also talk about the Eagles. It was not a great weekend. If, you feel trivial doing this, but it was not a great weekend for them. It has been a great couple of weeks for them. So we will discuss the Eagles. We'll let you know, how things look from a schedule standpoint and all those kind of things. And offensively, defensively, coaching, everything that kind of went down and how it looked. And, they put themselves in a bit of predicament here. So we will get into that as well. So we'll cover all of that. Don't worry. But we will continue to talk about DeMar Hamlin as well. That is priority one for sure. And what went down last night. So we'll do the best we can today, man. And we'll all get through it together. I think that's the best way to put it. We got each other's backs. So Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let me tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. I can tell you from personal experience that I had a hard time finding someone that I could trust with my finances and, trying to save for the future. And I found the right person with Jim. And whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you have a small business, you may need help setting up your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. I know personally, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be as well. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could also email him as well, Murray, murray.jim@principal.com. That's murray.jim@principal.com.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Game Show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
All right, we're back. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, and hanging out with you on this January 3rd of 2023. Hope everybody had a great new year. Hope you rang it in style, and thanks for hanging out with us as we head into 2023 here. So a couple things. Let me just, last thing I'm going to say, at least for right now, on the situation that we've been talking about from last night. We don't know what happened. Like, we don't know what the diagnosis is. We don't know what any of those kind of things, because there hasn't been any reports from the hospital, the care, people giving him care, or his family. I know a lot of people are assuming things, but we just don't know what it is. I see a lot of the people in the chat section already have him diagnosed. We don't know what it is right now. So I just think it's a little bit, let's just see before we have any idea, kind of where things are right now. But anyway, as I mentioned, we will continue to monitor this, and if we get any kind of updates, we will pass them along ASAP. I promise you. All right. The Eagles did not have a great weekend, guys. Obviously, everything is kind of secondary to the young man's health. But if we're going to just switch gears here a little bit and talk about the Eagles, it was a really disappointing effort, I guess is the best way that I can put it. I felt like they were unprepared, and I haven't often said that with Nick Sirianni. I thought the game plan, especially in the offensive side, was horrendous. I thought the execution was horrendous. They deserved every bit of that loss. And I'm trying to figure out, when you still had the number one seed on the line, how you come out and play that way, how you prepare that way. I'll start with this, guys. It felt like an offensive game plan that you would have run for Jalen Hurts. And I'm not really sure why that's the case when Gardner Minshew clearly isn't Jalen Hurts. But let's talk a little bit about an offense that didn't get their first down until 12 seconds left in the first half. Only ran 17 plays in the first half. We're outgained 247-61 in the first half. Who were outpossessed by almost a full quarter. Who, the other team had 13 more plays than you did. What the heck happened here offensively?
How do you come out throwing the football the first two plays of the game when you're playing a defense that's giving up 132 yards on the ground? If you want to settle your quarterback in, you run the ball. You have been running over people all season long. How do you come out in the first two plays, your quarterback gets sacked? Okay. We wondered, and I've said this time and time again, Jack Driscoll to me is a better offensive lineman moving forward than he is stepping back to set up. He's a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. Why in the world would you play right into the hands of the Saints defense? And what did I tell you guys last Thursday and Friday? Do not underestimate this Saints defense. I've seen them play 4 or 5 times this year. The offense has been a problem for the Saints, not the defense. And then when it was announced when Marshawn Lattimore was coming back, he hadn't played since October 9th, and he's coming back. Marshawn Lattimore sets the back end of that defense. And he came out, and they challenged these Eagles receivers. They challenged them. And they did exactly the same thing Chicago and Dallas did. They stacked men at the line of scrimmage to try to take away the run. I don't know what people are looking at in game plans now that makes them believe they can challenge these Eagles receivers one-on-one. But the last 2 games, it has worked for them in a lot of ways. And I don't understand how you play right into the hand of this defense in your backyard, knowing that you need just one win to wrap up the number 1 seed. And lo and behold, because of your inept game plan and your inability to adjust on the fly, it cost you for the second week in a row.
And here's the thing. I heard Nick Sirianni on WIP's morning show saying, hey, essentially alluding to the fact that Miles Sanders was on a pitch count. Well, okay, then run it with Boston Scott or Kenneth Gainwell a little bit more. Keep the defense honest if you're afraid to give Miles Sanders the ball. He had 12 rushes for 61 yards. That's more than 5 yards per carry when you actually gave him a chance to run the ball. This felt like old school Andy Reid stuff, where you fall in love with the pass and you get away from the run, and maybe that's coming from above. I don't know, but that's what it felt like to me. It made no sense. First of all, your line was struggling to protect Minshew, in part because Minshew's holding the ball too long, okay? So it's a combination of things, I understand. But clearly Minshew stunk. So let's not have him throw a lot. Let's try and take some of that load off of him if he's not exactly lighting it up. He clearly wasn't as dialed in as he was against Dallas. So do something to counter it, instead of just square peg, round hole, banging your head into a wall.
Why is your 1,000-yard rusher on a pitch count at this point of a season? Why is he on a pitch count?
He's got a brace on the knee, but he's out there. So is he good or is he not?
If he can't run, then he shouldn't be on the field. But obviously, he looked pretty good in the second half when he came out the gate running the ball.
More than 5 yards per carry.
Why are you on a pitch? There's no pitch count at this point of a season. It's all hands on deck.
I don't know.
If you thought teams are going to just roll over for you and give you what you want, you learned a valuable lesson. I blame this on the coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff, for allowing the Saints to even be in this game, because it was quite obvious when they got to 13 points, they were playing not to lose at that point.
Yep.
They weren't trying to do any heroic things.
Bruh, at the end of the day, looking at what I saw, the offensive game plan was totally skewed from anybody's strength on the offensive side of the ball. Like you said, Jack Driscoll is a better run blocker in his pass blocker.
Yes.
The defense is catered to you running the ball against. I think they were ranked like 23rd or 25th as far as stopping the run.
Correct.
Yeah. You have what I've heard, what they've said to me is a quarterback that is one of the top play action quarterbacks in the NFL when it comes to play action. But in order to run play action, you got to run the ball to set up play action. The problem is we didn't run an offense that catered to anybody's strengths, with the exception of AJ Brown and play Smitty.
Yep.
You have two great wide receivers, 2,000-yard receivers, but they're great more so because you allow them to go out and run the ball. You know what I'm saying? You run the ball, which sets up the deep pass for those guys to be great. We didn't do that, man. For the life of me, I don't understand why you're running zone reads with Gardner Minshew, who was slow as pond water. I'm faster than him. Even when I first got drafted, I ran a 4.9. Gardner Minshew runs a 4.9. I played O-line. He's a quarterback. If he can't outrun me, you definitely not outrun a linebacker or a defensive lineman. So why are we trying to do that? Bumping our head against the wall. Hand the ball off or throw the ball.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it just didn't make sense. This game plan made no sense whatsoever. And we didn't run the ball. We ran the ball 15 times, hence why what happened with them, they ran the ball, stuffed the ball down our throat, and the most demoralizing thing you can do to a defense is run the ball, because if you can't stop it, in which the Eagles had a problem that first drive stopping it, you can do nothing about it. They chewed up so much clock. We ran 47 plays.
Yep.
In the entirety of the game. 47 plays.
Yep.
We've run that in first half sometimes. 47 plays.
Barrett, the most demoralizing thing I think from this game was twofold. Number one, this team in your backyard took the opening kickoff and chewed up the first 9 minutes of the clock. And you knew the Wildcat was an integral part of the offense. They ran the Wildcat 6 times on that first drive and punched it down your throat, and you could do nothing about it. And then you take that quarterback and you try him with the sneak. You know what, that sneak works so well because you have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who has lower body strength that's second to none among quarterbacks in the National Football League. You tried that mess with Gardner Minshew, and what did they do? Stood him up like a telephone pole. He could go nowhere. You allowed this team to slap you in the face in your own backyard.
Yeah. You know what it felt, Derek? It felt like a lazy game plan. It's like, we're going to do what we did with Jalen, or you took that other team too lightly, or whatever, but we're going to plug in the same stuff that we do and not alter it to the strengths or the weaknesses, however you want to look at it, of your quarterback.
Yes.
And that to me is inexcusable, man. Like, what was the prep during the week? And you know, we went through this for the last 2 weeks. Hey, they're going to be okay, and don't show too much to the Cowboys, or don't show too much to the Saints. You might play the Cowboys again in the playoffs. You got to win games, man. Now you're in a situation where it comes down to this last game, and believe me, you do not want to end up that 5 seed going on the road for every game and taking on the OG who flipped a switch on Sunday and just went into like 15 years ago Brady beast mode. You don't want that. Okay, you got to win this game now.
I said it before the Dallas game. My biggest fear was them going into this Giants game and needing this game There was significance in this game. And now you got to put your frontline players in a game where you should be resting players who are nicked up. You can't afford not to play them now because Brian Daboll has already said, come out and said, hey, even though we can't move position-wise, we're number 6 seed, we're playing our starters. Mm-hmm. We got to get ready for the playoffs. They're playing their starters, so what are you going to do? You got to counterpunch with your starters now.
Bro, we don't have any choice but to hit our starters. We don't.
Yes.
At this point, we can't afford to get anybody else hurt, but we don't have anybody else to play those positions, period, anyways.
Right.
So, I mean, really, the reality of the situation is we got to go out there and play this like this is a division game, like it is, like it's a game for the playoff positioning, like it is, and play like we need this game, like we do. So we gotta play at a high level, man. We got it. And number one, we got to get back into playing Eagles football. Right now, is we're playing as though we never jumped on a football field before. We don't have Eagles caliber football being played right now, and that's the problem. We got to get back to basics. We got to get back to what we do best, and that's playing basic, fundamental, hard-nosed football.
Barrett, let me ask you that sequence where they had 3 false starts in one series, and I think they had 5 altogether for the game. What I mean, is that concentration? Is it not used to Minshew's cadence? Like, what? How does that happen?
It's a little bit of both. Like, number one, Minshew wasn't Minshew. Minshew was kind of screwed up. He was looking screwy out there. He didn't look focused. He didn't look like he was ready to play. And then, the jumping offside stuff like that's just guys just having a mental lapse. What made this team a great team is their mental toughness and their mental they were mentally into the game. They were strict about making sure they crossed in their T's and dotted their I's. That's what made them a great team. I used to say that stuff so much because that's what they did. They played fundamental football, hit you in the mouth. And I think it got lost in the transition with Jalen Hurts being that guy because he wasn't giving them – he was giving the message. I totally admit it. I would assume that he was giving the message, but he wasn't starting. He wasn't out there playing. So the message probably got diluted a little bit simply because he wasn't playing. Once he gets back on the field and becomes that starter again and out there playing, I think the message will be more foundational like it was before now. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to, have somebody cheerleading from the sideline. Usually you need to have somebody on the field that's out, that's out there actively producing to have that message be more received by the team.
But here's what worries me the most now, Barrett. You lost Josh Sweat on a fluke play to a head injury, taken to a hospital. Now, luckily, he was released from the hospital a few hours later. You don't know what kind of situation he's in. We haven't got an update on that yet, number one. Number two, you got a Giants team coming in here that fully remembers how you embarrassed them in their backyard just a few weeks ago. You don't think they're going to be bowing up for this game? There's going to be all kind of extracurricular stuff in this game. Fluke injuries happen, man. You can't afford. We've lost players at some of the most key positions you can lose. Your Pro Bowl right tackle, one of the best slot corners in the game, and your safety, your number one safety is not back yet. We don't know if he's coming back this week, okay? And this game has big ramifications still for the Eagles, more so for the Eagles than the Giants, but the Giants because this is a pride thing now, okay? So if the Eagles can get on top of this team and get the starters out of there by the fourth quarter, I don't expect this game to be a blowout like that first meeting was.
No.
You think Wink Martindale and Brian Daboll are not yelling at his players about, okay, hey, do you remember what they did to us a few weeks ago? We're playing to prepare ourselves. We're ready. We're playing to shock the world. We already shocked the world. We took a 4-win team, basically the same nucleus from a year ago, and we won 9 games and got in the playoffs. Nobody on the planet, no expert on the planet, when we start talking about potential playoff teams back in August and September, had the New York Giants as one of those potential playoff teams because they had a whole new coaching staff and yet the same roster. And lo and behold, here we sit. This is a 9-win team, and what do they have to lose? What do they have to lose no matter how long they stay in the playoff? Nobody expected us to be here. Let's keep going out and shocking the world.
Yeah.
And we've seen it happen in the past. Teams come from out of nowhere and start upsetting the apple cart in a lot of ways.
I'm with you. Like the thing I am worried about the way they're playing, period. But I'm really concerned because they sidestep these landmines all year. But Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, CJ Gardner-Johnson, we'll see about Sweat. I know he tweeted out, hey, I'll play this year. And that's awesome. I'm glad he's where he's at. He's out of the hospital and all that. That's awesome. But these are big time injuries. These aren't little things. You see what the difference is with Josiah Scott. I know he had a pick, to his credit. He did. But the difference between Avonte Maddox and Josiah Scott is big. The fall off from Lane Johnson to Driscoll is massive. Okay. It's just massive. So these are big pieces that are missing for this team. And we don't know. Like, we're assuming we don't even know if Jalen's playing this week, by the way, number one, right? Number two, if he does, we just assume that he's going to be like not missing a beat. And I think that he's a great player. I'm not saying that, but man, he's been off for a little while with a shoulder injury. It's a quarterback. It's his right arm. So like, there's a lot that we don't know right now. We don't know if CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to play in the playoffs. A lacerated kidney is no joke.
Hey, didn't a guy named Andrew Luck have one of those, a lacerated kidney?
Yeah.
How long was he out?
It's concerning, man. It's concerning.
Okay.
They're not playing their best football at the really wrong time. Like, for example, San Francisco's out of their mind. I know they survived a game they probably should have not. It shouldn't have been that close, but nonetheless, they're playing unbelievable right now. Even the lower dangerous teams. Green Bay's hot. The Green Bay's hot right now.
Where did they get a defense all of a sudden?
I don't know. Yeah, all of a sudden it's the defense we thought they might have in the beginning of the year, but they're and the young kids and Rodgers are bonding now. Like, there's a lot happening.
And we talk about how the special teams is integral in playoff football. That kid from Green Bay that came in here almost took two back. He caught the ball 5, 6, 7 yards in the end zone and came out against the Eagles special teams.
Yep.
What did he do yesterday against Minnesota? Took one back 105 yards.
Buck 5. Yep.
He leads the NFL in return yards. See, all of this stuff plays into factors now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Green Bay has a defense, and Rodgers' thumb is starting to heal. You see the throws he made yesterday?
Yeah.
Compared to what we had to watch most of the season?
Well, here's what I would say. Like, momentum can be flipped really quickly if your quarterback comes back. Like, that can change this thing dramatically if he's right. And they didn't exactly, sprint to the finish in 2017 either. If you remember the regular season, it was sketchy at the end. So you can flip this thing, but they need to play a really clean, good game on both sides of the ball this week. And they haven't done it in a while. Even if you go back to the Bears game, when Jalen got hurt, they survived the Bears game.
Yeah, they did.
More than won the Bears game.
They did.
So it's been a while. And they need to – this is where Sirianni – they haven't had a lot of adversity this year. This is where Sirianni and the coaches got to really dig in and figure this out. Whether it's the week of prep, because clearly they stunk too, the coaches. They got to figure this thing out, and the players need to start playing better. They're for the guys who were on the field, they got to be better. You can't have false starts from Jason Kelsey. You can't have Mailata sleepwalking through certain plays. The other side of the ball too. Like, you just can't have some of the things that are happening. Like, I'll tell you the other thing. Slay and Bradbury haven't been very good in a while.
No,
Okay?
I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
And I we'll get to the defense in a minute, but credit to the defensive line. They just keep getting to the quarterback. That's awesome. But stop the run better early. Whatever.
Not only
Everybody's
that,
got
Rob.
to be better.
Not only that, Rob, but here's another thing that shocked me. Nobody could cover the Saints tight end.
Yeah.
Tight ends running free over the middle of the field. Nobody could cover Olave. Are you kidding me? Where's this pass coverage that we've watched? But the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's like they've been sleepwalking. I mean, I don't understand what's going on here.
We kept complimenting them all year and saying, man, they show up every week. Like, other teams take games off and Eagles don't. If maybe they couldn't stay at that fever pitch the whole year, and they've come down a little bit, man. You just wonder about this. JB, when we're floundering last season, we started pounding the rock. Exactly. Pounding themselves in the playoffs, could win the Super Bowl. I agree with that. Like, sometimes, okay, I get it. You don't necessarily want to win this way, but when Minshew's your quarterback, maybe that's what you have to do. So get back to that team that was rushing for like 250 yards per game. It felt like earlier in the year. You got to get back to that. It's frustrating to me that if this game plan was really bad, I just don't know, and I don't know where it's coming from. Whatever, but it wasn't what they needed against this Saints team. That's sure.
Jalen not being there, number one. And if Jalen was in those games we just lost, these last 2 games, we'd have won the games. Let's get that out there.
I agree.
Against Dallas, we'd have won the game, and against this team, we would have won the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's the elixir we've been missing. We can get away with some of these guys being hurt, but you can't get away with Jalen not being hurt. Is he the end-all cure-all? He might be. He's that good that every aspect on the offensive side of the ball that we lost these last 2 games, that we didn't have consistency, running the ball, being able to take advantage of a defense's what hurts their defenses, are direct reflections on what Jalen Hurts does best. We run the ball better with Jalen Hurts. He's able to read defenses better than Gardner Minshew. He's a better quarter and can run and turn the corner like Gardner Minshew couldn't. He can evade the pass rush like Gardner Minshew couldn't. So all those things that we didn't have, Jalen Hurts will be able to do. So that's the difference between what we've been seeing. That's why I'm not on the bandwagon and just saying, all right, this team is well. It also has a twofold type of reaction, because the reason why the defense is playing so much and they can't get out is because they're having too many reps anyways, because Jalen keeps the defense, the offense on the field longer, which keeps the defense off the field, which gives them their numbers are skewed because they don't have a lot of reps. The way you beat this Eagles team is to control the clock.
That's right.
Keep your offense on the field.
Yeah, it's keep away.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Exactly right.
When you keep Jalen Hurts off the field, he can't score. So if he can't score, you win the game. So that's the game plan that teams are using against us.
And
now,
you know what?
He's coming back, and he will make things happen now.
And guess what, Barrett? The Giants have the type of offense that can keep opposing offenses off the field. Daniel Jones is going to run the ball. Saquon is going to get his touches. Do you see the short passing game the Giants have now? That improved short passing game. They have everything they need to keep the Eagles offense off the field. You know, and the way the Eagles defense has been playing, now they played a whole lot better in the second half than they did that first half, but you're allowing teams to think that they can stay on the field with you.
Right.
That's the part of the psychology of playing this game. If you let an opponent think they can hang with you, as they did with the Saints, 50% of the time or more, they're going to rise up and punch you in the back of the neck. And lo and behold, you're going to be up looking at an L instead of a W.
I just, and there's little there's a little attention to detail things. I know some of this is the result of a backup quarterback who wasn't played a ton, right? I understand. But, A.J. Brown is trying to signal to Gardner, like, dude, they got this play sniffed out. They know exactly what's coming. We ran it earlier, the exact same freaking play, by the way. And he's trying to tell him, Gardner Minshew has to look over. He can't not look at him. And I know that won't happen with Jalen. I understand. But it's little things like that. That ends up being the pick six. Well, and do I think that AJ could have been a little more tactful with the way he said it afterwards? Yeah, probably. Whatever. But I mean, it's that kind of stuff that just that ended you, man. That was the death blow in that game.
And you can't allow yourself to go out and play the way they were playing, in the aspect that his ability to read defenses. And that became a major flaw in his game that I didn't, when looking at the film, I didn't really necessarily see him not being able to do that. I don't know. I guess he's never had to. But to me, if his receiver's not open, he's not going to throw it to him. I was so shocked to see him back shoulder throw to A.J. Brown on that on the touchdown play. I was like, man, that's a nice throw.
Yeah.
But the throw was kind of late, which brought A.J. Brown back to the ball over the back shoulder. So it was actually a bad pass. He underthrew him, but I'm glad he did on the throw.
Yeah, he adjusted. A.J. adjusted well. Yeah,
adjusted very well to catch it. So I saw a couple flaws and watched the film in Minshew that kind of had me thinking, all right, this Minshew mania may not be as mania as we think it to be.
Yeah.
He's very, very human in how he runs this offense when you don't cater to his skill set. And what's his skill set? His skill set is being able to run play action. Well, hell, that's every quarterback. Dak Prescott's a monster when you run and play action because, it gives you a little cushion. It defines things a little better when it's play action. I don't know how well Minshew can read things. I mean, he might be one of those guys you have to, have him go out and throw timing routes. You know what I'm saying? All right, you're supposed to be here. You run the route. You there. I'm going to throw the ball before it comes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be right there. But that becomes dangerous throughout the times when you get better teams. Better teams means better when you're in the playoffs, you're playing against better teams. Better teams mean you got better guys you're throwing against.
You notice how all these Minshew Mania fans have turned on him now since the Jets game? Did you see social media light up after the Eagles game on Sunday about how people want to run Minshew out of town now because of that performance? But everybody, including us, we all felt after what he put up against Dallas, 355 yards, he had more than enough capability of doing this Saints team in.
And he does.
But he didn't live up to the expectation.
He didn't show it.
He didn't show it one bit.
No, he didn't get help from
But not only that, your defense allowed Andy Dalton to go 13 for 13. His only incompletion was a pick by Josiah Scott in the first half.
Yep.
Right.
The dude was 13 out of 14, and because of a bad read was his only reason for not probably having a perfect first half against what is considered one of the best defenses in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Where that defense was the first 30 minutes, still can't figure that out to save my life as I rewatched the first half of that game. Right. I'm still looking at tight ends running for – who is Jawan Johnson? Who the heck is he?
He's a converted receiver. He's a South Jersey kid, a converted receiver, and who's now a tight end who ate the Eagles' lunch. That's who he is. Yeah, I hear you, Derek. Let's
Chris Olave playing with a bad hamstring, running all over the field on this team.
Yep. Yeah. Let's dig into the defense when we get back. Let's do that. Hey, by the way, this is pretty cool. So, Damar's charity, Damar Hamlin's charity, Chasing M's Foundation Toy Drive is now up to $4.19 million.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Talk about people just rallying, man. That's awesome. So I love to hear it. And by the way, very classy move by I think all of the teams, but I know the Eagles for sure. They canceled the coordinators meeting with the media today out of respect for Damar and his situation, as to not distract and just let's not do anything today. Let's just think about him. So good work out of those guys. All right, let's come back. We'll go. Look, there's the good and the bad with the defense, and Derek hinted on some of the bad for sure. We'll get into some of that and the good as well. We'll continue to talk about the Eagles. If we get any kind of update on Damar Hamlin, we will pass that along as well. But as of right now, at 1:07 Eastern, there isn't anything right now, so we'll pass that along if we get it. All right, Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, whether you have a home, you have a business, property that you may own, if you've gone through fire or water or smoke or mold damage, you know how awful it is, right? And sometimes you may not know the right people to reach out to. Well, I have the right people, and that's Pro Action Restoration. The beauty is they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I know this because I called them on a Saturday. They got right out to my parents' house. They fixed the problem. They cleaned it up. The price was right. The crew was professional. It was an amazing experience, and it was a big relief for everybody involved. I can tell you that. They are licensed, bonded, and fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out with us on this Tuesday. We're Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Top of the show, we talked a lot about DeMar Hamlin and his situation. We don't have any updates. If we get any, we will let you know. But certainly a very difficult situation for everybody involved. And first and foremost, you're praying for him. But, you know, the effect, the trickle-down effect to not only his family, but the players that were on the field last night, the entire league, everybody who follows the NFL, people who played in the NFL like Barrett, very, very difficult situation. Certainly thoughts and prayers sincerely going to him and his family. If we get any further, we'll let you know, as I mentioned. Some teams are meeting with the media today. Eagles chose not to, and so did some other teams. So for whatever it's worth. I actually spoke to a friend of mine, Mike Catalina. Mike has been is a Philadelphia. He's a South Jersey guy. Mike is. But he has he's covered the Bills for a very, very long time in Buffalo and just done an amazing job covering them. And he was telling me, he was kind of walking me through some of the stuff last night. Boy, it was scary. He said that he and his crew, all their equipment was on the was in the hallway toward the locker rooms. And he said they couldn't get at any of their equipment. They were trying to find out, like desperately, just trying to find out, what the heck was going on. And there were very few answers forthcoming. And then he said just everybody's reaching out to him that he knows. And, it was a difficult situation. Mike's with 13 WHAM in Buffalo. I wanted to make sure I got his proper credentials there. But anyway, he said he's never seen anything like it. He said to this day, the next morning he woke up and he was shaking. He said he was literally, if you were anywhere near the situation and watching it, it just had an unbelievable effect on it. I know how, we're all watching it on our TV and we're texting each other like, my God, man. But first off, please don't play this game. Please don't do that. And thankfully, smarter heads prevailed and they didn't. And I thought that was the right decision. And I thought the players and the coaches certainly handled themselves in the best way you could possibly handle themselves and for awful circumstances. All right. So we were talking about the Eagles last segment, guys. We're primarily focused on the offense. Let's talk about the defense. So floor is yours. Derek Barrett, I'll start with you, Derek. Your impressions of the way the defense played this past Sunday against the Saints.
I don't understand where they were the first 30 minutes of the game. I really don't. I don't understand how you didn't come out on that field with a more sense of urgency. The Saints' offensive line was already beat up, and their best left guard, Andrews Pete, didn't even play. And you still could not put a dent in that defense the first 30 minutes of the game. You let that offense do whatever it wanted. Now, you held them 13 points, but you let them do what they wanted to do up and down the field for the most part for the first 30 minutes. Okay, Olave came back from the hamstring injury. You had a tight end. I still, for the life of me, I don't care if it's Josiah Scott. I don't care who's on that field. Jawan Johnson is not considered one of the top 10 tight ends in the game today, okay? I don't care if he is a converted running back playing tight end. The fact that he's running free down the middle of the field and you can't stop this dude, that's a problem. I understand you had a matchup problem with Olave. I get that. It's Josiah Scott and whoever else they try to put on him compared to. Avante. I get that. But you didn't make the necessary adjustments to disrupt them. You allowed them to run 39 plays in the first half and control the clock and chew up 9 minutes coming out of the gate. Usually the first series is a test pattern for both teams to find out what you can and can't do against the opposition. Saints did whatever they wanted to do the first half of the game, and the Eagles did nothing to counter it. Now, Barry, you look at the game differently than I do because you see certain things I don't see. But you tell me what I'm missing here, because I don't understand. They came out and played like it was a practice game the first half.
Derek. I couldn't have said it better, man. When you look at how basic the schemes were that the Saints were running, bruh, they would come out and Taysom Hill be a quarterback.
Yes.
You know absolutely that they're going to run the rock. And then when they did throw a pass, come on, you're throwing it to Jawan Johnson. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Right, exactly.
Ooh.
So when they lined up in that Wildcat, and then they flipped it over and slid over, and then you had Alvin Kamara playing quarterback. You knew they were running the ball, and we could not stop it in that first drive. That's all they ran to score against the Cleveland defense, and we couldn't stop it. Come on, that was basic wing T football right there, man. That's just you just whoop the guy in front of you, get up the field, create penetration, and stop the running play. We couldn't do it. Taysom Hill looked like he was Ram Man or the best running back in the world, man. I'm like, look at this dude, man. This dude is really running like a running back.
He's strong though. He's strong, dude.
Bro, I know how strong he is, man. But I don't care who. We stopped King Henry. We held King Henry to what? With 30 yards.
Yeah, you're right.
He ain't nowhere like King Henry. And that's the same exact scheme they was running. Come on, man. Give me a break. Give me a break.
Dude,
you got to stop that. But then they did. But, I mean, what pisses me off the most is that we let a guy, what's his name? Dadgummit, what was it? The receiver that caught that deep pass on us.
Oh, Shaheed.
Shaheed.
Shaheed. Yep.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm talking about deep on on one of our best corners.
On Bradbury.
Just beat him. That's just basic football. Just beat him.
Yep.
Outran him. Knocked his hands down and kept going. He didn't even break stride. Those are the type of things I'm looking like, what is going on?
It's frustrating, you know man. And that first drive set a tone. And look, in fairness, the defense did get its act together as the game went on, and ultimately they gave up 13 points. But it's you have to be able to. It works hand in hand. You got to get off the field, and your offense can't be just these futile 3 and outs. And that kind of thing just sets a tone where you don't have opportunities in the first half, and you're digging yourself out of a hole. It felt like the Washington game. It did in a lot of ways. It felt like that, where both sides of the ball weren't doing their job, and all of a sudden, you're trying to play catch up here. But yeah, it wasn't the finest moment, man. Now, flip side, and this is a positive. They keep getting that pass rush. They got 7 more sacks in this game. Reddick had 2, Graham had 2, Hargrave, Milton Williams, and Cox. Brandon Graham got over double digits. They have 4 guys over double digits. They have the all-time record for a team. And by the way, they're creeping up on the Bears of 84. Bears of 84 at 72. This team has 68.
Yeah.
With a game with meaning in it for them. Unfortunately, they do still have meaning. They might get it.
Bro.
They had 5 consecutive games with 6+ sacks, which is the all-time NFL record.
And Daniel Jones is the top 4 in sacks allowed.
Yeah, 40 or something like that.
Because he tries to keep plays alive.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
So they may break that in the first half. Yeah. Let's hope.
That's a positive, but I don't I don't think Kaiser White's playing particularly well. I don't think Bradbury's playing particularly well. I don't think that Slay is playing particularly well right now. Some of that may be trickle-down effects, with not having Maddox or C.J. Gardner-Johnson and all that. Maybe other guys are feeling the sting of that. I don't know, but these are big players for you, important players.
No
for you.
question.
They have to be better. They have to be better.
They haven't been hit with multitudes of injuries like a lot of teams have that have had to make significant adjustments. But the injuries they have been at the strategic positions that you could possibly get hurt at. Your safety, who's a Pro Bowl safety, your slot corner, who should be a Pro Bowl slot corner, and your Pro Bowl right tackle. I mean, those it's obvious that they can't overcome that. As much as we applaud this team for depth, it's starting to show that those three positions you cannot overcome. And teams are taking advantage of that. We talk about the sack total and the wow factor behind the sack total. It means absolutely nothing if you lose the game. You can have 25 sacks in a game. If you lose the game, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Nothing. It
Yep.
means absolutely nothing.
No, you're just wasting good performances.
Yes.
That's what you're doing.
Yes. And now I don't know what this team is, to be honest, after watching the last two games. And I understand everything is predicated around Jalen. And if Jalen comes back and does what Jalen does, okay, all this talk is washed away. But you had a quarterback who we all thought could handle the situation because of the talent pool around him. Now, he put on a good performance, but look at the interceptions he threw in the Dallas game. And then you look at the pick six he threw, and I'm thinking, dude, what happened to this Gardner Minshew that everybody fell in love with after that Jets game last year? What happened to that dude?
Well,
Where is he?
The one thing I did notice in the Dallas game, he was throwing off his back foot a lot. Some of them were getting there, to his credit. But he looked a little shook in this game, especially. And he just wasn't driving balls. I know he doesn't have a cannon. I understand. But it didn't feel like he was driving balls necessarily. He had no feel for anything out there.
No. And he was throwing off his back foot again in this game against the Saints. Once again, throwing off the back foot. And it's taking velocity off his ball. But you're right. He was too hesitant to throw in certain situations. I don't know if it was because of the scheme that the Saints put together or he was just not confident in what he was seeing. But he stood back. He looked like Carson Wentz to me standing back there.
It did. It did. It had that same shaky feel. You're right,
Yes.
Eric.
Bro, I was sitting back thinking the same thing. I'm like, what is going on? Who is this dude that playing quarterback for us right now?
Yeah.
What is he doing? I didn't understand. Like, there was several times he should have pulled the trigger and just didn't do it and got sacked. I mean, you got to grip it and rip it. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the magical elixir is back now.
Well,
There's no way that Jalen Hurts does not play.
Barrett, I think you're right. But we don't know for sure. I mean, he practiced 2 days last week and didn't go.
There is no way on God's green earth that Jalen Hurts does not play. He has to play. Well, we will be a fifth seed going to the playoffs.
Let me share this with you guys. So I'm asking people as we're doing this show.
Yeah.
Is Jalen going to play this week? One response, he better. My question next is he healthy enough to go? Not sure. I know they want to see him throwing on the field. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, so it turns
normally
out
I would get a definitive answer, but
last week was limited. We saw what we saw because people don't know how it works. You get a little bit of time that you can shoot video, essentially, is the way it works at practice. And we as the media have access to it. But that's relatively short, and it's the very beginning of practice, and you get shut down after that. Gardner Minshew took all the one reps last week. So I don't know if it's a guarantee. Like I agree. Ultimately, I agree with it. I think he is going to be the starter, but it's not 100%. And if it's not, you got to continue to be highly concerned. About why he's not ready yet, man? We're talking 3 weeks now.
If he's not ready for this game, that confirms what I've said 3 weeks ago. There's more to this shoulder thing than what the Eagles are letting on. This is all hands on deck game this Sunday because you're in a position where you can go from number 1 to number 5 real quick in terms of seeding, which means you're on the road for 3 games possibly instead of being at home for 2 games. That's a big difference. You know how tough it is to win 3 weeks in a row on the road?
I did it. So, I mean, I did it either way, man. I'm at a point right now. Like, I mean, it might do them some damn good to go about it the hard way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's seriously just from a toughness standpoint, this team went from being the bullies of the block and are now getting bullied, man. And the only way you can get out of that is to go out and play bully football. And until we start running the ball, it won't. I mean, running the ball is the same reason why we won the Super Bowl in 2017.
Right.
It wasn't until after that 68-yard run that we had against the Chargers at the time that got the defense going and playing at a higher level, got the offensive line and offense going. And from that point on, they never looked back. They started, the whole mentality just changed. And they started playing a physical brand of football. And that's what you have to do. In order to win, you got to play a physical brand of football. And I think that's the only way this Eagles team can turn the corner. They got to get back to that. Jalen Hurts is a tough SOB.
Yeah.
So they got to get it going in that manner. That offensive line, when they turned it around, came out the second half, they said, look, we're running the ball. And they started doing that. And that's when things got better. Then we got back to being cute again and throwing passes.
Right.
We got to stick to that running the ball, making sure that we take care of business. And until we do that, we're going to go through these ups and downs and the rigor of a season. It's just way too long to go through that.
Yep.
You've invested too much.
Yep. No, agreed.
Way too much.
Yeah, you came way too far for to sputter out like this. And again, you can get this going back. I mean, the Giants game and the Raiders game come to mind for me at the end of the 2017 season. And once the playoffs started, it didn't matter how you finished. So but a good way to get off, you go out there and you put a good performance out there against the Giants. You feel good about yourself in the bye. You can heal up a little bit in the bye and get some mojo going into that first week of the playoffs.
But you got to play your regulars now against the Giants when you shouldn't have to.
Agreed.
This should have been settled a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now you got to have all hands on deck. And there's a possibility, just like with the Giants, anybody else, you could lose another key player in a division game, because this is a game where both teams going to knuckle junction. This is not, you think that Brian Daboll's going to let his team come in here and just get embarrassed?
Yeah.
No,
I'm saying I agree with you. No, he's not. Look, they're a prideful bunch.
Yes. Wink Martindale, hey, they put up 48 on you last time. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pride factor here.
Bruh, see, you guys are missing the point. At this point, Nick Sirianni, Steichen, Gannon, and Clay got to think, I don't give a damn who they got in there. I don't care if they got all the starters in. I don't care if they got no starters in. I got to set the tone for my team getting where I need to be. Absolutely. And the only way we're going to do it is to go out there and play who we need to play.
That's it.
I'm not worried about nobody sitting down. I'm not worried about nobody being healthy. Let's just go. We got to play great football, get back on track, because you don't want this feeling going into the playoffs.
I agree.
You got to go in with all guns blazing.
But Barrett, they could have avoided this issue altogether had they taken care of business. They could have
avoided my aunt had a – she'd be my uncle. We ain't even worried about it anymore.
She might be. You never know. Yeah, she might be.
I don't care about any of that. We just got to go out there and choke some people, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's life
when in doubt,
choke people, man.
Choke.
Yes.
Choke somebody and don't choke for a third consecutive week.
Right. All right, we'll come back. We'll give you the way the schedule sets up. We weren't even sure up until yesterday afternoon, actually, what time the Eagles were even playing or what day, as a matter of fact. But we know the schedule. I know Derek's thrilled about it, so we will get into that. That's for sure. We'll kind of lay all that out. Who's playing where? What games mean something? Who's still alive? Who's clinched? Who's got everything wrapped up? We'll dive into all of that because a couple of OGs woke up and now they're in play, unfortunately. And then some other teams eliminated themselves and some teams helped themselves. So we'll get into all of that when we come back. 2:00, we'll do our full-blown NFL segment, and we'll certainly continue to talk about what has been the major story so far with DeMar Hamlin. But we'll also get into Cowboys, Giants, Commanders, Packers, Bucks, Seahawks, Patriots, Titans, all the whole nine. So don't go anywhere. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, Derek Barrett and Rob. We're going to talk about Flynn Tree Services right now. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. So if you have any issues with your trees in your yard or on your property, if you do, there's just a quick phone call away, and they are experts at trimming all types of trees and serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Keep in mind, storm, hurricane season, winds, big gusts, all those kind of things. You want to make sure you get your trees evaluated. Now's a great time to do it before it starts getting worse in the winter. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page for a sampling of their work or more information. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
All right, we're back, everybody. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, and Barrett Brooks. Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Tell friends, smash the like button. All right, let me update you a couple things here regarding Damar Hamlin. The statement from the Bills came out not all that long ago. Quote, Damar Hamlin spent last night in the intensive care unit and remains there today in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. We're grateful for all the outpouring of support we have received thus far. Part one. Part two. This is according to Tom Pelissaro of the NFL Network. After speaking with both teams and the NFLPA leadership, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell informed the clubs today that the Bills-Bengals game will not be resumed this week. The NFL has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date, but what we know is they will not be playing that game, trying to jam it in like tomorrow. I don't know, whatever the thought might have been. So this either there's a lot of different ways this could go, guys. If they do play the game, maybe they push. Maybe it's the only game that's played in week 19, and then everything gets pushed back a week in terms of the playoff starting, and there is no bye week for the Super Bowl. Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know. Maybe they just go by win percentages in terms of the standings. I don't know what they do, frankly. I wish I had an answer. I'm trying to give you some options here, hypothesize a little bit, but I don't know off the top of my head what they're going to do ultimately.
If they totally just don't play the game,
yeah,
then that affects Kansas City, who still has an outside chance to be a number 1 seed. It affects Cincinnati, that has a chance to be a number 2 and maybe a number 1 if they beat Buffalo and somehow Kansas City lost that last game. I don't know how you figure this out. I really don't. I mean, you can't have them play the regular season game next week and then start the playoffs on time, because they still have that one game to finish.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to be in the decision-making process in the league office, because this is uncharted territory, but there's going to be a definitive decision made at some point that's going to affect every team that's in a playoff position in the AFC.
Yeah.
How though? I don't understand how you do it though. I mean,
I don't either.
What logical way can you get this done? I mean, because like I said, this is probably the most influential situation as far as games that, you know, the AFC has, you know, the last 2 weeks. I mean, look at the games after this, you know.
No, you're right.
It's still the number 1 game that still hasn't taken place.
Yep.
So both of those teams beat the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So do you just give them a win because they beat the Chiefs already? Because those are the only ones they're really competing against right now.
Yeah. I hear you. So again, we don't know where this is going, how it plays out, but if we find out anything more, we will again keep passing that along. That's for sure. All right. What we do know is, at least this week, in terms of the Eagles, they will be playing the Giants at 4:25. They'll put the Cowboys at the same time, because the Cowboys still have the possibility of getting the number 1 seed, and they'll put Arizona and San Fran at the same time as well, because they also have an outside chance at that 1 seed. So there's a lot at play and a lot at stake at 4:25. I'm not surprised they pitted all these teams against each other at the same time. And when you think about it, because of the West Coast with Arizona and San Francisco, they're not going to start those two at, 10 o'clock in the morning, or, whatever it would end up being, 11 o'clock or whatever. They were all going to probably play that time. I'm personally, selfishly thankful that it wasn't flexed out to the night game or anything like that. At least.
Me too, bro.
So I look at it like it's the lesser of two evils. Okay. Would I prefer 1 o'clock? Yes. But it's not, 8 o'clock either. So I'll take it.
Yeah. That means we'll all get home around 11:30.
No, I got to make that 2-hour drive, bro. I'll be lucky to get home by midnight.
Oof.
Yeah.
No, well, Rob's going to take in a 5th and 6th quarter.
No, I'll be done about 11-ish. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, so there's 2 Saturday games, the Chiefs and the Raiders at 4:30. Again, this is all kind of thrown off because of last night, but the Chiefs are still trying to be that number 1 seed. Raiders obviously going nowhere, but that's a 4:30 game. And then a huge one. This one's pretty cut and dry. There's not a lot of scenarios here. The Titans and the Jags, the winner wins the AFC South. That much we know. Okay. That's set in stone.
And that'll be a big draw.
That will do really well.
The small markets, but because of the magnitude of the game, that'll be a big draw.
We're all in on that game.
Absolutely.
The whole country is, for sure. So that much we know in terms of who's where and what and all those kind of things. But yeah, you have a Giants team that, having beaten the Colts this past weekend, killed the Colts, smacked them around. They're in, right? They are locked in. So right now the Giants are the 6th seed. And I don't think they can fall any further than that.
No, they're locked in.
Yeah, they're locked in. So as it stands right now, they would play the Vikings in Minnesota. As it stands right now, Eagles right now would have the bye, but that's not a lock. We know that. Right now, San Francisco would play the Seahawks at San Fran. And your 4-5 matchup, the Cowboys would have to go to the Bucks. Now, Cowboys are 12-4. If they finish 13-4, and so do the Eagles, Dallas wins the head-to-head there.
Yep.
Okay. Eagles would fall into that 5 seed where the Cowboys are, and they would have to go on the road to take on Brady and the Bucks. Brady and the Bucks were down big in their game to the Panthers early, and then in the 4th quarter, and just went, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm Tom Brady. Did you guys forget who I was? And all of a sudden, he connects 3 times with Mike Evans, and here we go again, and they're in, despite all of us maybe kind of sort of writing them off.
That man is 45 years old. Did you see the way he's slinging the deep ball yesterday?
Yes.
Man, Sunday, 45 years old, still slinging the ball like that.
Yeah.
And that's the Tom Brady of a few years ago. That deep shot that he takes to Mike Evans, that's what got them to the Super Bowl in a lot. Their defense was a monster. Yeah. But man, I'm telling you what, people, you can say what you want to say about Tom Brady and the Bucs aren't what they were, but Tom Brady in the playoffs, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is.
It's a scary thought. I don't care who you're facing. Tom Brady smarts in the playoffs, and if he has his receivers healthy for that game, it's open. That's the great thing about the playoffs. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you really
don't. We can sit here and analyze all the matchups and the pros and cons and the point spreads and who should win. You don't know what you don't know because of that man's ability to do certain things that other people cannot do.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. All right, we'll dig a little bit deeper into the NFL at 2:00, but let's hit a couple other little odds and ends here, guys, because there's a lot of interesting happening. We had two spectacular semifinal games in college football over the weekend, man. I mean, just awesome. TCU and Michigan and Georgia and Ohio State, both, barn burner type of games, man, and some really gutty performance. The Duggan from TCU. He's tough as nails, man. That kid, the quarterback.
Dude, let me tell you something. TCU, I didn't know. The big question going in was, can the TCU's defensive line stand up to Michigan's rugged offensive line? Oh, they answered that question real quick.
Did they?
The way they were flying around the field, they weren't afraid. They weren't afraid. The moment was not too big for them. They got 2 pick sixes out of that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they just basically said, you know what? Nobody expects us to win this game. Let's go out here and shock the world. Now, I did think the last play for Michigan, the receiver catches the ball and the dude hit him. I thought it was a targeting, and they didn't call it. They didn't call it targeting. We've seen targeting called on the most minute things in college football, and they didn't call that. I was shocked that they didn't call that. Yeah. And that was the difference in TC winning the game and possibly Michigan going down the field and coming back to win that game.
Yeah. No, well said. That game was great. And then it looked like, the Georgia-Ohio State game, man, it looked like Ohio State was cooked, and then they fought back. And, unfortunately, it comes down to a 50-yard field goal the kid missed. And again, not laying it all on him. That's what it came down to. And Georgia survives and advances and is trying to repeat here. So Georgia and TCU will be your national championship game. We had a couple really entertaining games yesterday as well, guys. Yeah. Tulane comes back from 16 points in the final 4 minutes and beats USC, man.
Yeah. Well, bro, I mean, just when I looked at that game, remember early in the season, I'm like, man, how do we lose to TCU? Kansas State, we lost to TCU, and everybody's like, Tulane. They're like, oh man, how do you guys lose to them? How do you lose to them? Well, hey, comes to find out, they're pretty damn good.
Yeah,
so Kansas State just beat up on a TCU team, and then we turn around. We played against a semi-pro football team in Alabama, and we lost. But everybody kind of expected that, anyways. We finally played some major college football. You kind of saw how it was dictated. Like, all right, we with the big boys now. So we see, what the difference between Kansas State and Alabama is.
Right.
But when you look at Tulane, they beat up. I mean, they beat up in 4 minutes on a pretty good USC team, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great pass at the end.
Oh my goodness,
the end zone. That was some great football there.
Well, there were so many things that happened, right? You had the kickoff, which the kid misplayed. He didn't have to touch it; just get away from it. Either goes out of bounds, or you don't even have to field it now, like you used to have to. You can get the touchback. That happens. They get the safety, and then the last drive was a money drive. They converted 4th downs. There were just initially the touchdown catch is over. It's called incomplete. They overturned it. Kid did catch it. He had his hands under it. It was spectacular. It was really fun to watch.
That quarterback for Tulane was throwing darts in that fourth quarter.
He played really well.
He was, and I can't believe how many times USC allowed Tulane to run those slant routes over the middle for big chunks of real estate. I couldn't
either.
I'm thinking, first of all, who decided to make this matchup Tulane against USC? I don't want to see this.
Right.
I couldn't stop watching.
I'm telling you. Yeah,
I couldn't stop watching the game.
It was fun to watch, man. And then Penn State and Utah. And I know some of this carried into I think if you were watching the Sixers came on at 7. But that Penn State, to their credit, and Utah got hurt because their quarterback got knocked out, Rising. But Penn State played really well. They had a 10-win season, man. They had a really good season, and they have some good young players. I think the kid who's going to take over at quarterback is going to be really good, and the Singleton kid, the running back's a stud. So Penn State, props. Here's something I thought was really cool, guys. Did you see this? The coaching staff, and the players all coming off the bus and heading into their locker room were wearing the white 34 jersey, which was Franco Harris's jersey at Penn State. That is a cool touch, man.
Yeah.
Really cool touch.
What a great tribute, man.
Awesome.
You can say what you want to say about James Franklin, and I know a lot of people have been down on him, but I think he silenced a lot of people this season when you think about what Penn State had to go through. And I thought Utah was going to give them a game because Utah beat USC twice this year.
Utah's tough. It's a tough team.
They've beaten USC now like 4 times in a row now.
Yeah.
They beat them in the regular season, and they beat them in the Pac-12 championship game. And I'm thinking Utah's going to give Penn State all they can handle.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I tell you what, Penn State put on a show. Man, it was nip and tuck for a little while. Then all of a sudden, Penn State asserted themselves on both sides of the ball, and it was lights out after that.
Yeah, it was. All right, I would give you a little basketball. The Sixers won last night. They took care of business. They avenged the loss last week to the Pelicans. Joel Embiid was phenomenal, 42 and 11. James Harden, 27 and 8. I thought both guys played excellent for the Sixers. It did help. Zion Williamson left the game with a hamstring late. He was playing really well for them. He left late with about 4.5 left in that vicinity. So that helped the Sixers. But nonetheless, they get the win. They're 22 and 14 on the season. And they got a couple pretty winnable games coming up. So they can get in the 24-20. They can get about 10 games over 500 real soon. So they're starting to do it. And Maxi's back, and he's been, he's working his way in. You see it. You see the flashes. He's getting there. He's not all the way there yet, but you see the flashes. So that was good. That was good. And they gave him a great, and Christie's right. They gave Maxi, because it was the first time he played a home game. When he took his jersey, he came off the bench. When he was checking in, the crowd went nuts. Tyrese Maxey is beloved in this city. Beloved. So, it's exactly right. So that was really, really cool, I thought. And I got to give them props. Flyers have won all 3 on this California trip. That's right. Impressive. I don't care how good. I know Anaheim isn't good and all that, but neither are the Flyers. So kudos to them for winning 3 straight. It's a nice job.
Hey, they picked up 6 important points. As bad as they've played and for all the injuries they've had to overcome, the bottom line is they went out west and took care of business, man. And that's the most important thing, man. This team's not laying down. Tortorella would not allow this team to lay down, man. Doesn't care who suits up. You better be ready to go. I'm calling you out. I'm calling somebody out. Mm-hmm. And they responded. The teams they faced are no worse or no better than they are. But I tell you what, they could have just as easily have lost those games as they won. Because in a couple of those games, they had to come from behind and win them.
Yeah.
We know they don't have that kind of firepower, but somehow, some way, they found a way to get those wins, man. And hey, they got 6 points. That's all that matters.
No question. It was and they got a really good goaltending performance by the backup goalie with Carter Hart being a little bit banged up. So props for what they were able to do, man. That was impressive out of them. Speaking of impressive, a couple guys had some nights in the NBA last night. Donovan Mitchell drops a 71 spot last night in the Cavaliers overtime win. How about this? It is the most points scored since Kobe went off for 81 in 2006. He goes 22 of 34 from the floor, 7 of 15 from 3. He's been awesome with the Cavaliers, man. Yeah.
Hey, look, you know what? It got to a point where his team, hey, man, just give Donovan the ball, man. Just give him the ball.
Get out of the way.
Just get out of the way and give him the ball, man.
Yep. I forget who. It was the Robin Lopez had a really funny tweet. Did you guys see this? What he tweeted there? He's on the Cavaliers, backup center. He said, "Hey, just so everybody's clear, I think he either had 1 or 2 points. I think he maybe had 3 points." He said, "Donovan Mitchell and I put up 74 points last night. Like you're welcome," or something like that. 3 of them were his, but it was a pretty funny line right there. But
oh my goodness,
yeah, that's incredible. Cavaliers are a problem in the East. They are.
Yeah, they are.
They're good.
Hey, but we look at the Sixers now. We've had our concerns about the Sixers, but right now they have the 5th best record in the East and one of the top 7 records in the NBA. So that's not bad for a team that's still trying to find its way.
They've won 8 of 10. I mean, they're playing, much better basketball. They really are. And they're a good home team. They're 15-5 at home. So, I mean, slowly but surely, what you wanted to see was get all these guys together healthy, get Maxey, Harden, and Embiid on the floor together, and let's see what you have.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see it now. And, you're seeing mostly wins coming out of this team.
You're talking about Donovan Mitchell. Now, he hoisted up 34 shots. The dude still had 11 assists as well.
I know. But Derek, how about the percentage of 22 out of 34 is phenomenal.
It's ridiculous. I mean, and he was 20 or 25 on the charity stripe.
I know. I know. That's a night. Have yourself a night, Donovan Mitchell, man. That is
goodness.
Some big time stuff. And it was a tight game. It wasn't like they were just beating up on somebody. He had to play really well for him to be able to do that. So, puts up a 71 spot. And how about this? Just totally under the radar, Klay Thompson puts up 54 last night. It's kind of like, all right, you can have 71. So these guys are
backseat to a guy putting up 71 and you bust 54.
I know. It really is amazing when you think about it. So they end up winning and the Sixers win. So the Sixers, like I said, there's a couple winnable games for them this week. Indiana, I believe, and they're both home and the Bulls. So I would figure if I'm looking at their schedule, you should be able to win home Indiana. And really, actually, man, like the next 5 or 6. So they get Indiana home, Chicago home, at Detroit home, Oklahoma City home, who stink.
Oh.
Then you go on a West Coast trip where you play Utah, the Lakers, the Clippers, Portland, Sacramento. It's never easy going on the West Coast, but some of those teams aren't great either.
Exactly.
The Lakers have become a one-man band with LeBron and with Anthony Davis out. There's not a lot of help there for him. That's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening there too. I mean, does he want to finish his career this way with them being bad to middling? The Lakers?
He's already made it known. He's already said that, hey, look, I'm in the NBA to win championships. I'm not here to just play regular average teams. I need to be on a team that can compete.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now they're not in the playoffs. In fact, they're the 12th seed in the West. They're 16-21. So they're way under 500 as far as the East goes, which, we focus on with the Sixers. Boston's in first place. Then it's Brooklyn. Brooklyn has won 12 straight. Then it's Milwaukee, then the Cavs and the Sixers. Now the Sixers are only, 2.5 back. They're right there. And they played a couple less games than these teams. They played 2 less than Cleveland, and they played, less than some of the other teams. But, they're making their move. This is a big year for them. If they can't get past the second round again, I don't know what you do at that point. You got to think about something else if you're not able to do that. So that's just kind of where they are right now. Flyers, it's a different story. It's a rebuild. We all understand that if that's the situation. But more than anything else, you just want to see them start stacking some wins here and showing that the chemistry is right. I give Harden credit. I really think that he's looking more and more to be a distributor. Maybe some of that is, he can't score the way he used to, but that's okay. You adapt your game.
Yep.
I give him credit for that.
Yeah, just like you're a cornerback, you go to safety. You're a tackle, you go into guard. You know what I'm saying? From guards, go into center.
Yeah. Well, right. Unfortunately, we're not seeing some of that with the Eagles, where guys have gone down and people are stepping up, right? We're not getting that. That's for sure from them. All right. So we're going to step aside in a second. When we come back, we're going to dig into the NFL and, kind of who's in, who's out, who needs help, because there are some scenarios where teams need help. Other teams have locked this thing in. And obviously, the big story, throughout the day so far, and it's just been, you're just trying to keep your focus on the individual, and all the other stuff will take care of itself. But if you're just tuning in with us, the league will not try to resume that game between the Bengals and the Bills this week, which I think is the right way to go for everybody involved. Not only just from a psyche standpoint, from the players watching what happened to Damar Hamlin last night, but I just don't want. I just think you would feel like you'd just be cramming this thing in, and everything getting thrown off, and you still, as of right now, we don't even know the status of Damar and what's going on. So I think Roger Goodell's making the right choice and the league's making the right choice by doing that. That's for sure. But
absolutely.
The other thing I really hope, and I believe they will, I hope you're getting not especially, but not just, you're getting the players some counseling who had to be a part of that last night, and the others who just are players and are saying, "Oh my God, that could be me." I really hope
you're going to need it.
Yeah. And we're certainly much more aware and focused on mental health these days. So I would guess, I'm going to assume that that's already in place with these teams, but I really hope that that's the case. And again, a bunch of teams just taking the whole day off today, as far as media goes, I think is a really classy touch. All right, let's get a timeout here, and we're going to come back, guys, and we will dig into all the scenarios here with the NFL as we go into the final week of the season, week 18. We will dig into all that when we come back. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis for Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about data, because data is everywhere with Razor technology. Data is everywhere in business today, and when it's locked away in silos, it can't be efficiently used, and businesses don't have the time to wait for the insights that shape decision-making. Razor Technologies data management not only integrates data from wherever it's generated or collected, but provides a uniform structure for storing, interpreting, and distributing it to decision makers. Razor helps businesses transform and model their data, use it to populate real-time dashboards, and create shareable reports that highlight key areas of progress as well as warning signs in need of attention. Smart data analytics and the tools to make data insights easily digestible help businesses of all sizes and types discover where they could be untapping significant savings. Razor Technology can help you break down your silos and you fully realize the value of your data to drive growth for your business. To learn more, contact Razor Tech today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us on this day for Sports Day. JAKIB Sports YouTube Network wishing you a great 2022. Hope you celebrated. Hope you had fun. All right, so a couple things to hit here, guys. You know, I said this to you off the top of the show. You start planning the show. I was planning the show a little bit last night, you know, like late yesterday afternoon. And I'm thinking, man, we're going to dedicate a lot of time in this segment to the Bills and the Bengals game itself. And it's going to be a great game and all this other stuff. And obviously things change. You know, they change very, very quickly. And more serious things take precedence. So the only news we can really give you in terms of the game is it will not be replayed or rescheduled this week. The league has made that announcement. So that part is official when it comes to, you know, the Bills and the Bengals. You know, here's the question I have, guys. One of the questions I have regarding this upcoming week. You know, if you're the NFL, like, what do you do here? I mean, Cincinnati is supposed to be playing at home against Baltimore, right? Buffalo. The Bills are, who are they playing? I'm trying to find where the Bills are playing. Bills are hosting New England. I mean, can either of those teams even play this week? Would be one of my questions after what went down last night. You know, I just don't know. I really honestly don't know if those games will even take place.
Wow.
Mentally, you know, how do those guys go forward with seeing that? You know what I mean? I think they're professionals. They will be able to. Hopefully, I'm not going to say hopefully. I know the NFL will have some people in place to help them, you know, people they can talk to, counselors and things of that nature. But, I mean, the bad thing about it, well, not necessarily the bad thing about it, but the show must go on. I'm anxious to see how these guys go out there and perform with this happening, because you could tell he was a beloved guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You could tell he was a beloved guy, man. So, you know, I mean, how do you do that? I've been in situations where a good friend of mine, you know, while on the field, got hurt, you know, but I mean, it's just something, you know, you gotta go through, man. You gotta think about it. You gotta press forward.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough spot. So we don't know where that's gonna play out. It was very early in the game. Not that has anything to do with it. Whether they play the game at all or not, we just don't know. These are unprecedented times, and sometimes unprecedented measures take place when that's the case. And I wouldn't fault the NFL if they didn't want to even play the game, and they'd have to figure it out. And some team might feel a little bit shorted in the standings, but so what if that's the case?
Yeah, because now if they don't play the game, you have two teams that have to account for two games to make up now. I don't know how you figure this thing out.
I know.
I really don't.
It's really tricky. And I know, like, no matter what the NFL does, I feel like they'll get crushed for it, but I don't envy them because it's a tough spot. All right. So a couple other things. Mentioned that the Giants clinched. They beat the Colts. I think we're all in agreement. We're going to see at least a little bit of the starters from them in this game against the Eagles. And there are a lot of players, even though it's a new coaching staff, that are left over from last year, you know, or any of them. Well, they're certainly everybody's there from earlier in the year when the Eagles beat them. So you're going to have a motivated team, I would think, to at least play a half or maybe somewhere around there from a Giants perspective. Did you guys see? So Kayvon Thibodeau hits Foles. Foles is down and he's doing a snow angel next to him, like literally right next to him. Oof.
Now, Thibodeau said he didn't know Foles was hurt.
Right.
But then he goes, what did he do? He went over to the sideline after he realized he was hurt.
Did the like I put him to sleep thing on the sideline. Not a good look. Yeah, I get he's a young guy, and I hope he learns from it. But that's you got to take into account what's going on. I mean, he's laying right next to him, by the way, when he was doing the snow angel, and Foles was like convulsing. I don't, thankfully it looks like Foles is going to be okay. He's not going to play this week. You got to wonder if you're Nick Foles, you're like, dude, I made all my money. I won a Super Bowl. Do I need this?
Yeah.
I would think he probably retires. That's my guess. I
don't know.
Inside knowledge.
They say the competitive juices, man, make you do things you didn't think you could do. Some players have played a lot longer than they wanted to play because they can't give up that money, number one. And number two, they have not prepared for life after football. And if somebody's dangling that 7-figure income in front of them, even if they know their best days are behind them, but they have a chance to make another 7-figure income, even if it's a league minimum, which is $1.5 million, what do you do? When you have no plans to move on in life and somebody's offering you $1.5 million to come back out here and play another year as a role player, we don't need you as a starter.
Yeah.
You're just a role player. What do you do?
Sign me up.
I'm playing.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because out of that money, you're still going to get close to $800,000.
Yep.
That's a lot of pocket change, man.
Great point. Jim Harbaugh may be on the move. There are a couple of reports. One that he interviewed with the Panthers. One that the Colts are hot and heavy on him. So there's a chance he could be leaving Michigan. We know he had success. Certainly got to a Super Bowl when coaching the 49ers, lost to his brother, in fact, to the Ravens in what was a really good Super Bowl. But he could be on the move. Not surprised. His name's been floated, the last few years for sure. So that one's going to be interesting to keep your eye on.
Well, didn't he recently sign an extension with Michigan?
Yeah, but you can always get out of those.
I know. Yeah. Especially if you're going back to the NFL.
Exactly. And to tell you the truth, I thought they were trying to get rid of him like a year or two ago.
They were. Yeah.
And, so, I mean, this might be. But, I mean, even with him in a position he is right now, with them losing, they might want to just let him go anyways. You know what I mean? Just from everything that just went down.
I'm not a fan of Jim Harbaugh anyway. So.
He's actually I played with him 1 year.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, we were with Detroit. Well, he was there for camp, and he didn't make it into the regular season. But yeah, Harbaugh was he was in with the Colts. I mean, he was in with the Detroit Lions with me. Because I can remember. When I tell these stories, when I tell stories about my playing career, some people like to check and see if I'm lying or not. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't lie about these stories. These are stories that I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up at NFL Films, and the intern's like, "Oh, who all did you play with?" I was just saying one time, I said, "Yeah, man, I played with Harbaugh. We just went through the preseason together." I said, "Yeah, I played with Harbaugh. He was a real good dude." He said, "Well, where'd you go play with Harbaugh?" I say, "I played with him in Detroit." First thing people do, they go in and fact check. Did he play Harbaugh? And it doesn't there's no record there. He was just there during camp. So there's no record there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So long story long, for 6 months, they're like, "Oh, see, we finally caught you on a lie, B. Brooks. We finally caught you on a lie. You ain't never played with Harbaugh." I said, "I played with Harbaugh. I'm telling you, I played with Detroit." He never played in Detroit. Long story long, we go to the combine. While at the combine, we're walking by, and it's me and the staff from NFL Films, the guys that said I was lying to him. I told him, I said, "Hey, what's up, Harbaugh? What's going on, bro?" He said, "Big B, how you been, man?" I said, "I'm good, man. But hey, these guys don't believe that I played with you in Detroit." He did like this. "Yeah, that's right. Brooksy, that's right. That's where we played at in Detroit. I couldn't figure out where I played with you at. But then, couldn't find out. Yeah, I was in Detroit." And their jaws dropped to the ground like, you know what I'm saying? Thinking they caught me in a lie.
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
I lie, don't lie. I mean, that's just the experience that I've had in the
cool,
NFL.
Man. Yeah, that is cool. But I'm with Derek. I'm not a big fan. I like John. I don't like Jim.
Yeah. John's a great dude, but his brother,
yeah,
no love lost for his brother.
I don't know how. I get it. There's only one of 32, but I'm not taking any job with Jim Irsay. That's just me. No, thank you.
No, that's
quarterback situation there. Nah. No.
Carolina might be intriguing, but Irsay, I want nothing to do with that dude.
Well, I don't understand why he would go to the Panthers. They just experienced a college football coach. So why would they bump their head twice?
Good point. Well, I mean, he does have.
Well, he has NFL experience.
He did have the NFL experience. Yeah.
He took the San Francisco team to the Super Bowl.
Right,
so,
right. Against his brother.
His brother. Yeah. So he does have that pedigree compared to Matt Rule. So.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out the whole Commanders thing, and I feel like I've started a lot of sentences saying that with them over the years, but they decide to go with Wentz going in this game.
Wentz crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when again, Taylor Heineke's not great by any stretch, but he had at least revived you, I guess would be the best way that I could put it. He sort of revived them and got them on the doorstep of being maybe a playoff team. But they set this stuff in motion last week when they pulled them, saying they were going to before the game. Wentz comes out and goes 16 for 28, 143 yards, 3 picks, no touchdowns, and a 31.4 passer rating against Cleveland. And all of a sudden they're eliminated. And then Ron Rivera after the game doesn't know that was an elimination game. Come on, man.
You talk about a walking mess of an organization. Where's your PR staff to inform the coaches on a weekly basis the little things? Now, I initially when I heard and I saw Harbaugh's Ron Rivera's comments after the game, I didn't know if he was being coy, being a smart aleck about it. He genuinely didn't know that it was an elimination game. How do you not know this? Well, first of all, we thought that the call was made by Snyder to insert Wentz. Now we're finding out that Rivera made the call. What are you thinking? Taylor Heineke is directly responsible for your team even being mentioned in the playoffs. He went 5-3-1 as a starter. So what? He had a couple of miscues the last game. He had a couple of fumbles, I believe, is the reason why they decided to pull him, or Rivera decided to pull him. What did you honestly think you were going to get from Wentz in this game that you haven't seen all season?
Did you not think he was going to turn it over? I mean, really, did you think he was going to take care of the football more than anything else? Did you think he was going to take care of the football? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, how did you allow the words to come out of your mouth? We believe Wentz can give us a spark. What kind of spark? What made you believe he could give you a spark?
I don't know. You're not following reality. Like you are. It's the definition of insanity. You're trotting him out again. He's another one. He's not long for this game. He's not going to be around much longer. I really don't think so.
No, the players love playing for him, but you know what? From an organizational standpoint, after watching the last couple of weeks, I've got to sit back and say, have we run our course with Ron Rivera?
Oh, I agree. I'm sorry. I meant Wentz, but I hear you with Rivera.
Have we run our course? I mean, what he did over the past 8 days, you can't come back from that. You just cannot. You make a decision to put that knucklehead back in the game. You didn't know the magnitude of the situation if you lost that game. You open the door. You basically open the door for another team to get in the playoffs and push yourself out of playoff contention. And when's the last time they've been in the playoffs? I think we got to go in a different direction. I'm sorry. I respect you. I respect what you've meant to the game, what you did for this organization in adverse situations. But we got to move in a different direction now.
All right.
Well,
so,
you're acting like he's probably mad at getting out of that situation. He probably wants to be out of that situation. Wouldn't you want to be out of that situation?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
He can be a coach anywhere and not have to go through the headaches and everything. He's been through some trials and tribulations while in the organization, man. I mean, beat cancer in the organization, quarterback situations. He had had to find somebody to take the place of one of the most athletic and best left tackles in the league, and then had to bring in. Then he let go 2 more of his starters, and Moses and the other guy that went down to Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been through a lot. Yeah, Sheriff. Yeah. So I mean, he's been through a lot, man. I want to get the hell out of here, also.
Yeah, Understood. I understood. All right. Couple other odds and ends here around the league. So Green Bay wins and they're in. Okay, they absolutely crushed the Vikings. Win and they're in. And this is a biggie because the Lions still have a shot. Okay, they're not done. And they've had a real amazing. No matter what happens with the Lions, I think they have to feel good about where they're headed. Under Dan Campbell, but they've made that the Sunday night flex game. So you got Detroit and Green Bay on Sunday night. So Green Bay takes care of business. They're in. Detroit needs help to get in themselves. So that'll be a fun one. Yeah. How about Detroit being in a prime time game? Doesn't happen.
Isn't that something? Yeah. See, to me, Detroit is very similar to Minnesota. You get them out of that controlled environment, dome, outside on natural turf, they're a different team. Yeah. And Detroit's the same way. You got to play that 12th man. You got to play that Green Bay cold on a Sunday night game. Not a Sunday afternoon game, a Sunday night game now at Lambeau Field against a Green Bay team that somehow found a defense over the last couple of weeks. And all of a sudden, Rodgers is slinging darts again like he was most of his career, except for much of the season because of that thumb. All of a sudden, that thumb's looking a lot better now.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're playing the better defensively. They had another pick six.
Yeah.
On Sunday, they took a kickback. Their kick returner is probably the most dangerous guy in the game. He took one to the house, 105 yards. So they're clicking. They're hitting all the right notes right now at the right time, for sure. So we mentioned the Bucks won. That clinched them the NFC South. They beat the Panthers. Panthers were up. Bucks came back. Brady and Evans connected 3 different times for Tampa to get that win. So right now they're sitting there and they will host a home game because they won the division, and we don't know who it's going to be. We're hoping it's not the Eagles. Right now it's the Cowboys, but we don't know who Tampa is going to end up playing. So the teams that need help. Well, let me put it this: the teams that are still alive in the NFC, Seattle still has life. Detroit still has life. The Packers still have life. Green Bay controls their own destiny with a win. The other two need help, varying forms of help to get in. But nonetheless, Seattle, nobody gave him any shot to do anything this year. And Geno Smith's had a great year. And Detroit, I think people kind of laughed them off, even though they played some close games last year. So both of those teams have to feel good. Certainly they want to get in, but no matter what happens, they got to feel pretty good about their situation there. So that's the NFC. AFC. Patriots right now are the 7 seed. So all New England has to do is win, and they're in. They beat Miami last week, and they will be at Buffalo this week. Now all of a sudden, like, I don't know what that looks like now for Buffalo, where they're going to be upstairs. So
I don't either. I don't either. I mean, Buffalo could fall to a 3 seed depending on what Cincinnati does. I mean, it's.
You almost feel insensitive even talking about it, but you just don't. Everything's up in the air, is the way to put it right now. Let me run through the seedings in the AFC. Technically, Kansas City is the 1 seed right now. They're 13-3, but obviously Buffalo and Cincinnati have played one less game. So if Buffalo would have won that game last night, they would own the tiebreaker because they beat Kansas City head-to-head. The Bengals are 11-4 right now. They're a 3 seed. So they're locked in for the North, right? Because Baltimore's 10-6 now. Baltimore can't catch them.
Yeah, Baltimore cannot catch them, right?
After that loss to the Steelers on Sunday night, which, by the way, Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin's going to be at least 8-8 again. They got it together. Yeah, how about that final drive, man?
He is 8-8, bro. That's crazy.
That's crazy with that team.
This is gonna be the last time, this will be the first time Tomlin won't be,
yeah, he's another one. You don't count him out.
Right.
That throw by Pickett going across his body for the game-deciding touchdown. Now, he had a mediocre game up to that point, but that kid threw a frozen rope between coverage for that winning touchdown. It was Najee Harris.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if he was actually going to him, though.
There was a receiver in the vicinity.
Yeah.
He was sitting right there. He could have caught it also. But Najee was like, you know what? Let me snatch this out there.
Yeah. Well, he made 2 huge throws. One to the
runs also.
And runs too. He had a really clutch drive. He did. And Najee Harris was great the whole game. He was spectacular for them. So I think Pittsburgh has to feel good about where things are, because for a lot of the year, you didn't really know. That's why you got to give guys some time too. But Pickett looks like he can play.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to look that way. I don't think he's ever going to be the biggest, the cannon for an arm guy or any of that, but he looks like he knows how to play the game of football.
Well, I mean, you don't have to have the biggest arms if you have an accurate arm based on your offensive scheme.
Right.
And obviously, they keep talking about it's well documented that Canada is going to be fired after the season, their offensive coordinator. But even if that's the case, you see growth in Pickett every week, in terms of being able to scramble by time, so on and so forth. I mean, this Steelers team at one point was 3-7. 3-7.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, they've won 5 of their last 6 to get to 8-8.
Right.
Their offensive line is playing a hell of a lot better than they were too, man. They come together.
True.
Their offensive line has come together. The running game. If they, like I said, they get a new coordinator in there, I think I might put my
name in the hat.
Yeah, man. Let's go out there and see if I can call some plays.
Okay. All right.
I believe that when I see it.
So yeah. So back to the standings. So it would be as of right now, Jacksonville's in. We know Jacksonville has to beat Tennessee to get in that game in a second, but they're the 4 seed right now. Chargers are the 5 seed. Baltimore's the 6 seed, and New England is the 7 seed. So New England is in right now. They win the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh based on head-to-head. Division tiebreak was initially used to eliminate Miami, et cetera. I know without getting in all the minutia here, but they're in very good shape. Now, the interesting tidbit about this game on which has been flexed out to a Saturday night game is what Tennessee has decided to do with the quarterback spot. So this game will be 8:15 Saturday night. It'll be the Titans and the Jaguars in Jacksonville for the division. But instead of going with the rookie Malik Willis, Tennessee's decided they're going to go with Josh Dobbs, who they just picked up prior to the Thursday night game last week against Dallas. So that's, it's some faith in Josh Dobbs. It's some lack of faith in the rookie.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like, it's like, oh man, like what do we do right now? We just, got this. Was he went up first? He was a second rounder, right?
Dobbs?
Malik.
No. Malik.
Oh, Malik.
Yeah, he wasn't a first round. The only first rounder was Kenny Pickett.
Right. So second rounder.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing, and we were talking about this pre-show. If anybody's going to be able to pick up a playbook, it's Josh Dobbs, who's a legitimate genius. He's an astrophysicist. Sometimes you throw things around like, oh, what are you, a brain surgeon? What are you, a rocket scientist?
Right. You said that. Yeah, I am a rocket scientist. Yeah,
kind of him. So I think the playbook, he can get that part of it down. The question is, he just hasn't had a ton of reps. How's this going to look in a big game against, with everything on the line here is really what it amounts to.
I tell you what, he went out and competed against Dallas because he made some throws against Dallas under a lot of pressure.
Yep.
He made some plays in that game against the Cowboys on a Thursday night in front of a national audience. The dude had only been there 8 days and went out there and played like he'd been playing for weeks in that offense. And, he kept them competitive for a while. And then obviously the inexperience of not getting enough reps caught up to him eventually. But when did he go, like 20 or 39, something like that?
He was good. Like, yeah, you're right, Derek. I mean, you could just, you didn't feel like, hey, they very easily could have beaten the Cowboys in that game. And he did a really nice job. He was locked in. And I get it. I guess you feel good off of that performance. But if I'm Willis, and by the way, thank you, Anthony. He was a third rounder.
Third? Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Ant. I'm not feeling necessarily great if I'm Malik for where things are headed there, but
Well, I mean, it's hard when you hadn't completed a pass to a wide receiver the last game you started.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't light the world on fire when he got his chance.
Right. So you got to maximize every opportunity you get winning in the NFL. You're often judged by your last game. That's why Gardner Minshew, he's going to go into free agency. He's going to get some looks. He's going to get some opportunities. But he could have been he could have rolled out on a punched his ticket on, millions and millions of dollars, man. If he just went out there and played a lot better than he played, man. He just didn't play with confidence going into the game. And I think the entire team played with confidence. They didn't look like a team that was hungry and ready to play. And the Saints were. They looked like they wanted to go out there and meet you in the street. And it seemed like, the Eagles felt like they were just going to step on the field and you're supposed to bow down to us because, we've won 13 games. And they weren't trying to care about that. They didn't care nothing about that. They went out there and just executed, beat up on this Eagles team and left there with a victory. Beat us in our house.
Yeah.
Had our fans quiet.
I wonder, Barry, I wonder if this team's feeling themselves, man.
Well, they're not now.
Yeah. I wonder if they were feeling themselves, man.
That's what's got me most disappointed. Like, I didn't think that was them. I didn't think they were a complacent team. I didn't think they were a smell themselves team. Now, how much of that has to do, and I know he's still there. He's in meetings. He was practicing even last week, but the Jalen's not playing to rein him in a little. I don't know. Like, I don't know what that dynamic is. I know they've looked like kind of the Dallas game. I'm not going to kill them for the Dallas game. It was a tough spot, but this game this week, they look like a team that didn't show up. And that's not them. That's the thing. If I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm really figuring out, like, what did we do last week that this was the case? I got to figure this out really fast and get these guys locked in again.
Well, your cornerbacks got to get their heads out of their backsides, man. The last couple of games, they have not been playing up to what we've grown accustomed to seeing them playing much of this season. I don't know what's going on with Slay and Bradbury, but you got to bring it now. You got to bring it the rest of the season. There's no more excuses. If you were injured, that's one thing. I haven't seen them on anybody's injury report, which means to tell me they're healthy enough to play. You got to bring it, because what you've done the last couple of weeks, that is not good enough. It's not. Because even with your front seven getting all these sacks and stuff, you're putting more pressure on them because you're not holding up the back end of this defense.
Yeah.
So you got to bring it now. It's time. It's put up time now.
Gunner, you go into a playoff setting with that kind of lack of focus or whatever.
You're in trouble.
You're done. You're done. You're not getting out of the first round. I don't care. Like it's not, if you end up getting the Bucks know the formula, even though like Jalen's a way different player and they're better. The Eagles are better, but they have a blueprint from last year, and they feel good about their chances because they have the confidence that they beat you last year at their place too.
You're right. And see, I'm looking at Tony Mercer. D gave up 13 points in the second half of the. Wait, where is it up? I really can't pick at them for the game. We can pick at them for the first 30 minutes because that was not Eagles football. That first 30 minutes, defense. They did play a much better game in the second half. But when you let a team control the clock the way they control the clock for the first 30 minutes of the game, especially an inferior opponent, when Andy Dalton is your quarterback and he was 13 for 30, I still can't get over that. 13 for 13 against this defense. The only miscue was an errant throw that was a pick. And Taysom Hill was 2 for 2. I still can't get over that. I just can't.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it was frustrating. That first drive was highly frustrating. It really was. And it was just a combination of everything. They couldn't get off the field. The offense was just like, out. And then give them the ball right back. Nobody's helping each other on either side of the ball. But, by the way they're performing, the coaches aren't making any kind of adjustments. You felt like the team lacked, focus. You false start 3 times on a singular drive. It was obvious they didn't come to play. And I can't, even the Washington loss, I felt like they at least showed up. Even the Cowboys lost, now 2 weeks ago, whatever it was.
They were like fighting.
They're fighting. That team didn't have fight this week. And that can't happen, man.
Well, I guarantee you, Jeff Stoutland's giving them all kind of lectures this week, that offensive line. If they're not focused this week, if they play anything close to like they played against the Saints this week, we got a problem. Yeah. Houston, we have a problem. Because I expect them to be in tune, focused against this Giants team this Sunday. I don't care who's on the field for them. I don't care how long starters play. I expect to see a much crisper game on both sides of the football just because of what happened against the Saints that first half this past Sunday.
Yeah, and look, this Giants team, and again, we know they may not play their starters for the entire game, but they're better than the Saints. So if you come half-stepping like you did last week, the Giants will kick your rear end. I mean, they will. They'll just take it to you.
Here's an interesting comment by Cilio. You guys see this one? Interesting. Look at the opposing QBs that played the Eagles the last couple of weeks. Jeez. This sounds like the first half of last season when quarterbacks were completing 70-80% of passes against this team.
Those adjustments need to be made because they're especially killing zones. They're killing zones, and Gannon likes to play zone. So, the quarterbacks you're going to be facing, whether it's, Dak Prescott, who could potentially be, if they're the lowest seed, still alive. And by the way, here's the thing too. I was going under the assumption that, well, if the Eagles are the 1 seed, they're likely going to get the Cowboys, who are going to be the lowest seed, coming back. First of all, there's no guarantee now the Cowboys beat the Bucs. There's no guarantee that Green Bay doesn't win. So you could be getting Brady, you could be getting Aaron Rodgers, you could be getting Dak Prescott if you're the Eagles. This could go a lot of different ways.
At this point, I would be more afraid of facing Brady or Rodgers than I would Dak Prescott, to be honest with you. To be quite honest, or Brock Purdy. I'd much be more afraid of looking at Brady and Rodgers across the line of scrimmage than anybody else, even Kirk Cousins. Because like Barrett always talks about, if he ain't playing at 1 o'clock, you got Kirk Cousins right where you want him. If he ain't suited up at 1 o'clock.
What was was last week 425? It was
425, yes.
Yeah. Oh man, that did not go well. And they actually shut down Justin Jefferson too.
Yeah, they
one
shut him
catch.
totally down. He was so hot, man. And
He
then
was.
makes so bad. They told him they were going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zaire Alexander. He said
Told him he
that
was
ain't
gonna do
happening.
it.
He said it ain't happening this week.
Yeah.
And then he got up over him and did the gritty again. I'm like, you can't. This dude Jair Alexander is a trip, man.
Yeah,
he is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he backed it up. I will give him that much. That's for sure. So, all right. So the standings, just to finish this, just to put a bow on this thing. Eagles right now are the 1 seed. San Fran's 2. Minnesota's 3. Tampa's 4. Dallas is 5. The Giants are 6. Seattle's 7. That's where it is right now. But Detroit and Green Bay can still get in. And then the AFC, the teams that still are holding out hope. Your 7 seed is New England. I guess Miami still has a chance. They have the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would, because they'd be 9-8. And if New England lost, they'd be 8-9. So Miami isn't eliminated, and Pittsburgh's not eliminated right now. So that's kind of where things are. And again, the Titans, if they win, they will vault up into that slot right now for the division winner, which is being held down right now by Jacksonville. It's crazy. Tennessee would vault into the 4th seed at 8-9. I mean, that's just I don't like that the seeding thing, and they shouldn't get a home game. But that's a whole nother story. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll circle it back to the Eagles. And obviously, look, the big story the entire day, and it will continue to be the big story, is Damar Hamlin and his health. So we'll talk about that as well. We got a couple other things. Another health issue with an athlete, former athlete, a retired athlete, who we'll let you know about. We have some birthdays. We had all kinds of stuff for you in store. So don't go anywhere. He's Barrett Brooks. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take. We'll be right back.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Game Show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Something I meant to get to in the last segment, which let's get to it now. Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ells. Do you remember when Chris Sims threw out there that Jalen Hurts was a system quarterback? You could plug anybody in. Gardner Minshew could have great success and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the takeaways after the game naturally were, I guess we can stop with the system talk nonsense, when it comes to Jalen Hurts. But did you see the way that he's reacted to people going after him?
No.
So, including ESPN, he said, bleep you, ESPN, for resharing it. Talking about what he said, last week. Seriously, F off. Stop jocking me. Invite me on the show and let's effing talk. You don't want a piece of me.
What?
Okay, dude. Like, calm down.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay,
Bleep
Chris.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Hey,
apparently he's taking all kinds of heat on social media, and he just can't. Dude, you're gonna throw this stuff out there,
as you should.
You gotta be able to take it, man.
Wow, dude, that takes a lot of to make a statement like that.
How much slack that I've taken over this this Raiders thing? So I ate my medicine. I took my medicine, ate it up, and it is what it is, bro.
Well, it was also interesting. Speaking of that, Barrett. So David Carr, who was Derek Carr's brother, you remember David played in the NFL for years. Texans. Yeah, he's an analyst on the NFL. He does other stuff too, but on the NFL Network, he's one of their analysts. And as you would expect, he went on last night and defended his brother and basically said, look at the amount of coaches he's had, look at the amount of coordinators he's had, look at the organization, and during his time there. And you know what? Like, I am not the biggest Derek Carr guy. I'm not. But he isn't wrong. He's been surrounded by nonsense for a long time there. Even though they got him some players this year. Clearly there's a lot of issues in Las Vegas. So, I get it.
You can assemble all the talent you want, man. But if you don't have the right people driving a car, it's about to go over the cliff at any given moment. And that's basically what Derek Carr has had to deal with much of his career. And I still cannot believe that, number one, they decided to go with a guy who had never started a game before, even though the season is over, number one, and then agree with the quarterback that maybe you should step away from the team for a while. Don't be here and help the young guy see things that he can't see. We'll get somebody else to do it. You just go ahead and collect that next paycheck on that $40 million deal you got for this season. Man, somebody tell me to step away like that for 40 million. What?
I hear you.
You'd be looking at a blank third screen sitting here. I guarantee you that.
Dust trail. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
Smoke.
Right, you can't accept, man. Being in the system has everything to do with who you are as a player, man. I mean, like I said, I played with guys that, like Russ Grimm. Russ Grimm says, get it out there and just get it done. I don't care if you lasso the dudes as long as you don't get a penalty and you block the guy. That's a plus for me. Then I had guys that a guy named Mouse. Mouse, he was the offensive line coach. Mouse Davis. He was the coach with the Giants when I was at the Giants. He was into that duck walking thing because he had, Munoz. And bro, one time I had a dude, I drove him like 6 yards down the field and I dunked him on his head and it was a negative play. I'm like, negative play? Yeah, because you didn't dunk ball. You should have, step right and then hooked his arm and did. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. This dude is 6 yards down and on his back. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's basically looking like he's a turtle on top of his shell. Mm-hmm. And you're talking to me about a duck walk? Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? Yeah, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to
go. Well said. Well said. This one, sad one, but hopefully they caught it early. Martina Navratilova, of course, all-time tennis great, was diagnosed with both throat and breast cancer. She's going to start treatment this month. She's optimistic. She thinks that she noticed a lump in her throat, so she was getting a biopsy, and they were going through all the tests and the scans for that. And while she was in for that, they noticed the breast cancer. Can you imagine, man? I mean, she got the double dose diagnosis. But her spirits apparently are really good, and she feels like on both fronts they caught it early. So, I'm wishing her all the most. It's been a pretty sobering couple days here, man. Right? With sports.
Yeah, it is.
For sure. So wishing her all the best. All right, let me give you some birthdays here, and then we'll move back to the Eagles and everything else that we've been discussing today and going over. And again, we'll give you, if there's any kind of updates on DeMar Hamlin, we'll let you know about that. Hamlin, we'll let you know about that as well. All right. So as far as birthdays go, you have J.R.R. Tolkien, who was born on this day in 1892. He was the author of The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings.
Of course. Who doesn't know that, bro?
You knew that. You knew that, Barrett. That's
absolutely.
Hank Stram was born on this day in 1923. Let's matriculate the ball down the field, boys. That's what he used to say.
Kansas City.
KC's finest. Did won a Super Bowl too.
Yep.
I'll give you a fun fact about Hank Stram. The Eagles flew out to LA to interview him in 1976. And while they were in the process of doing that, they watched the Rose Bowl and watched Dick Vermeil beat Ohio State and ended up hiring Dick Vermeil. Leonard Toast and Jim Murray. There you go. All right. Mel Gibson is 66 years old today. Florence Pugh, the actress, is 26 years old today. Michael Schumacher, Grand Prix, Barrett, right?
That's what I'm talking about. I'm proud of you.
I had to get that one in there for you, man. I saw it. I'm like,
this is proud of you, man.
Yes.
Yeah, Barrett,
he was seven-time champion, I believe.
Yeah. Seven-time world champion. And Barrett, did you know when he retired in 2012, he held the record for most wins at 91?
And he was only 44 when he retired.
44, that's right. Sure.
That dude was a beast.
And Lewis Hamilton is about to break his record. Well, I think he might have broken it.
I think he broke it already. Yeah.
Okay.
But Ferrari, him and Ferrari, man, were just tied at the hip.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. George Martin, who was the Beatles producer, was born on this day in 1926. They called him the fifth Beatle. He contributed so much to their success. Victoria Principal, the actress, who even beyond her acting is rich beyond belief because of beauty product lines that she put out there. So she's done quite well. Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills and Nash is 78 today. Eli Manning is 41 years old today.
I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah, 40, I know, right?
42.
Oh, 42 today. Yeah, 42 today.
You know, he never missed a regular season game when he was a starter. Now, he was held out of games because of clinching, but he never missed a game. Matter of fact, he has the streak for the third longest consecutive streak of games played by a quarterback with 210 between 2004 and 2017. He has the third longest streak of consecutive play games.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he is. I don't know if he's first ballot, but I think he'll get in.
Tough call. I mean, he won 2 and he beat New England twice, which is crazy. And is part of one of the most iconic plays in football, the helmet catch. But, man, his last years didn't help him. He really is. Numbers dipped.
How about the helmet catch?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The helmet catch.
Well,
but he's in the top 10 in a lot of categories in passing.
You guys aren't getting it. How about the helmet catch?
Stop guessing helmet catch. You ever see the commercial?
That's but it's David Tyree's birthday also. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
What?
Yes. See? David Tyree's birthday.
And remember I told you guys that catch was the last catch he ever made as a pro?
I can't believe that, man. I mean, I believe it, but it's crazy.
It's
43. He's 43.
All right. So Danica McKellar. That was a good segue, Barry. Danica McKellar, who played Winnie Cooper on the Wonder Years, is 48.
I can't believe she's 48 already. Wow.
She's also a math wizard. She's put out like all these math books and stuff. Greta Thunberg is 20 years old, the environmental activist. Robert Loggia, the actor, was born on this day in 1930. Dabney Coleman is 91 years old. And
he's still alive? Wow.
He's still with us. And that's all I have for birthdays. What do you guys have? You guys have any?
Lloyd, the singer Lloyd, he's 37.
Okay.
The singer Lloyd. Jim Everett.
Oh, Jim Everett.
Quarterback.
Yeah, Jim Rome's buddy.
60 years old, man.
He's 60?
Yeah, 60 years old. Can you believe that?
Wow.
No.
Doug McDermott.
Yeah. Dougie Buckets.
Basketball, yep. 31.
How about this dude? He was the nation's leading scorer in 2013, 2014, the 11th player taken overall in the draft, who was a college player of the year. Yeah. He's on his 7th team already.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's a specialist. That's all he is.
Jeez.
And
He's
then
a 3-point specialist.
Cheryl Miller, 58.
Some would say the greatest college basketball player ever.
Wow.
Not the greatest basketball player ever. I'm talking about Michael Jordan, all of them. I mean,
what? Better than her brother? Better than Michael Jordan? Ooh.
She was great, man. She scored, I think, 100 in a game at either in high school or at USC. I forget, but she was insanely good. And those two made each other better. They just played each other all the time,
right?
Out in the backyard, man.
So yeah, that's
cool.
my. All
right, Derek, you got any more birthdays?
You got Jim Ross, the wrestling commentator for the WWE back in the day. I love listening to his old Southern drawl when he called wrestling. And Nicole Bahari, who played in Sleepy Hollow in the movie 42. She's 38.
Okay. I got one more I will throw in there. I mean, we lost him way too soon. That's for sure. Is Darren Dalton. Darren Dalton would have been 61 years old today. Passed away very young age of cancer. So Dutch Dalton. Yeah.
Dutch, man.
Yeah, did a lot for the city, did a lot of community work, and too bad.
Did radio with him a couple times, man, and just a great guy, bro.
Fun guy. Yeah, Darren had a lot of fun in life. He was a perpetual positive spirit. He was a guy, glass was half full.
Rob, you being the Philadelphia historian that you are, it was within the last couple of years when the article came out, because there were a number of Dalton and his teammates that died of cancer, and they wondered what was it? Was it the turf they were playing on that could have contributed to this? And I don't know how this story ever panned itself out, but I remember that being a big story because a number of his former teammates that also died of cancer.
Yeah, Dalton, John Vukovic, who was a coach on that 93 team, who played at the Vet in the early years, Tug McGraw, all brain cancer. I believe there was somebody else too. You had other guys who came down with cancer. Now, how much of that is just they're older gentlemen? I don't know, but yeah, it's. I don't think it's a coincidence, man. I don't. I would, and I'm not. Barrett. That's another situation you had to deal with playing at the Vet, man. Yep. I don't know. I know there was a lot of bad stuff in that place, and that turf could have contributed to it, or something could have contributed to it.
The worst field I ever played in my life. I mean, I played at Kansas State, man. When before they had that nice turf, bro, that was bad, man. It was like playing on concrete, and then the cat in the middle of the field was concrete. But the Vet was even worse than that.
Yeah, at least with football players, you only play once a week. Baseball players, sometimes when you get those home stands, you playing 8-10 days in a row on that stuff, man.
Can you imagine sliding for a ball out now?
Yeah, you're gonna be feeling it if that's the case.
Man, it's taking layers of skin off. That rash, we call it, turf rash.
Yeah,
it's taking layers and layers of skin off, man.
Yeah, I don't know how guys would go out there without sleeves or elbow pads on that stuff, man, and just rip their arms and legs up, man. Nasty. All right, so the big story of the day, normally on a day like this, especially with us being off yesterday, we would come right out of the chute with the Eagles, and their loss to the Saints. They dropped 2 straight for the first time this season, but it wasn't. It was DeMar Hamlin who was the big story from last night's Monday night game. It happened in the first quarter. There's a hit, there's a collision. And the weird thing was he got up first. You're like, all right, I guess he's okay. And then when they go down after that is when you just all alarm bells start going off. Now, he was unresponsive. They came out and they administered CPR, gave him oxygen, got him out of there. By all accounts, he was at the hospital extremely quickly. Thankfully, it's close to where the stadium is the Bengals play at. But really, all we know right now is there really isn't much of an update. He's in critical condition, but he was stable with his vital signs, but we don't know anything else right now. And that's just kind of where it is. It's hard when you're in this waiting game and we all want information, right? We're all, come on, man, tell us everything. Give it. And maybe there isn't information to give. We just don't know right now. His family put a statement out and basically it was thanking everybody. And, we appreciate the way people have handled this thing, but no update on his health. Now, the NFL has come out and said that they will not be playing a game. They will not be playing that game, at least this week. They won't try and jam it in tomorrow or something like that. So I think that's the right move. I think it was the right move not playing the game last night. Certainly, it goes without question.
No question.
And you just feel for, man, him, his family, and everybody involved. It's just scary. It really is.
I don't think.
I mean, we still don't know.
I don't think the medical experts know exactly. They're doing basically what they've been trained to do, but this is such an unusual situation. I don't think the medical experts, and obviously with his family, from the league, I'm sure the medical experts have been given advice, give out as little information as possible right now until you know something definitive, because something like this is green light, red light, hit and miss. You don't know. What looks like a positive sign 1 minute could be severely negative the next minute. And the fact that they induced him in a coma and put a tube down his throat to assist his breathing, that tells you that we're still at a very critical juncture with this. And you don't want to put out any misinformation up to this point. So be very guarded in what you say and how you say it. As many of us, millions of people are sitting here on anxiously awaiting some kind of news, positive news, anything, update, anything. The people that make these decisions have to make sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever you put out there, you know exactly what you're talking about at this point.
Yeah. And I think that's where you just don't rush to judgment on the league. The league has to sort of kind of let this play out a little bit. They've done the smart thing saying we're not going to try and force in this game, but you got to let, we don't know what's going to happen with this, man.
No, we don't. No.
And that's the toughest thing. And I mentioned to you guys earlier, I really hope that there's, a process in place for these players, man. And not just like anybody, guys in the game last night and guys, Eagles players, Falcons players, whoever was watching this thing at home, seeing that happen, man. I don't know what kind of, honestly, I'm just thinking about it. Like, what brand of football we're going to get this week from anybody? Is your heart really going to be in it?
Well, put it like this: when you hear Miles Sanders, when you look at his his social media, he's like, "Hey, could you please stop putting out there the hit that my brother is taking? Could you please stop retweeting it and putting it out there, please? You know what I'm saying? That's just going to show, man. This is tough, man. This is tough, man. These they didn't play ball together, but they did number of camps together. You know what I'm saying? Vontae Maddox played with this kid. You can only imagine how he's going through this. Darrell Reeves said, hey, this, he got pissed off at what's his name? This was
Skip
Shannon
Bayless.
Sharp. Bayless. Yeah, Skip. He got pissed off at Skip, like, hey, man, dude, he basically said, do you have a heart, man? This is tough, uncharted territory that the league is trying to navigate. Teams are trying to navigate, and the players are going to have to try to navigate. Us as fans, us as fans and people that used to play, we're feeling for it also, man. So imagine, 6 degrees of separation. Imagine when you're getting down to that 1 and 2 and 3 as far as separation when you're that close to the situation.
It's hard. It's hard. I just that you looked at the looks on their faces and you just knew right away that they knew it was different. Like, you see your teammates down. Sometimes you get the thumbs up when a guy's being carted off. You feel awful, but at least you're like, okay, there's some acknowledgement that he thinks he's okay. When you saw the way that they were reacting, it was tears and stunned silence. You knew this was different. You just knew it.
What did you say, Barrett, that Shannon Sharp said to Skip Bayless, his co-host?
No, that was it was
Darrell Reeves said it to
Reeves said.
Oh, Reeves. Okay, Reeves.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp wasn't even on the show with him today. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say he did a show solo today, and I don't know if it's based on him being angry with Skip for what Skip put out there initially, and then tried to backtrack on with a later tweet. But and people were commenting about, hey, Skip looks very uncomfortable out there by himself on the show today. So I didn't know if it's Shannon Sharp or not. So.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a scheduled vacation. I have no idea. I don't watch the show. I don't pay any attention to that guy. I try not to give him any airtime. I'm telling you the truth.
That SOB.
Yeah, I mean, all he does is try and troll and get people worked up, and you feed right into him when you react to him. But that's one thing. Like if you're saying, "Oh, your quarterback stinks," okay, that's fine. That's open ground. But when you start tweeting out what he tweeted out about the incident and playing the game and all that other stuff, it's just you cross a line. He seems pretty Teflon to me. It doesn't seem like it matters what he does. He still survives. So
I'm surprised his bosses haven't reprimanded him in any way, shape, or form. I guarantee they got to him and say, hey man, you better put a retraction out real quick.
Yeah,
but still I'm surprised some of the stuff he gets away with. I'm surprised his bosses haven't suspended him. We've seen people get it suspended at ESPN for way lesser stuff. But yeah, these people at Fox just let Skip do whatever the heck he wants to do.
I'm surprised he didn't get punched in the face for the last stuff he said about
Shannon.
Shannon Sharp.
Surprised Shannon didn't just get up and punch him in the face.
Yeah, he showed a lot of restraint.
Yeah, that's kind of why we in 3 boxes away from each other.
It's true.
I'm scared Rob might come punch me in the face.
That's right. Look out.
I'm the peace-loving man between us 3.
That's right. I can reach up. I can reach up. Look out. All right. So tomorrow, obviously, guys, we'll continue to monitor this. And if we get anything, in the meantime, we'll certainly talk about it tomorrow. It's been an awful situation. DeMar Hamlin, again, prayers to him and his family, and hopefully, get a miracle here. But we'll talk about that. We'll certainly talk about the Eagles. This is a game that has a lot of meaning now against the Giants for them to get into to get that number 1 seed. We'll discuss that. Really everything else that we usually hit as we get you prepared for the following week. We're heading into the last week of the NFL season, which is crazy when you think about it. And it's almost going to be playoff time. We don't know yet if the Eagles are going to have a bye or not. As they sit here, they don't have it locked up. So we'll see how that shakes itself out. All right.
Hey, thanks a lot, Chris D. We appreciate this. It says thanks, guys, for a relevant show on a very trying day. I mean, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, and look, it's a hard balance sometimes. And Chris, thanks. It's a hard balance between discussing a real situation like that and, the trivial stuff, the toy department, if you will, of, what's happening with the Eagles and other teams and all that. So we try to do our best, and it's an imperfect science, and we're certainly not perfect, but we're doing the best that we can. All right. Want to thank Xander Krause, our producer, all of you in the chat section. We appreciate you, everybody streaming, everybody listening. Do not go anywhere. We have the National Football Show with Dan Cilio coming right up, and we're back at it tomorrow at the same time. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We are Sports Take for Derek Barrett. I am Rob. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive